Hey, welcome to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Check out our playlist for more amazing novels and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new audiobook. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 61, Ninja Cat Clan. Hitaki Kakashi and the others saw that the test was over and walked into the training ground together. Looking at the students lying on the ground, they didn't know what to say. Although I knew Shihouin Naraku would find a way to teach these kids a lesson, I didn't expect him to be so ruthless. Just with the majestic momentum just now, half of Konoha Village was affected, and I don't know what the situation of the village is now. Fortunately, the matter was reported to the Hokage in advance and preparations were made, otherwise it would have caused another major disturbance. Don't worry about these little devils, just let them lie there. When they wake up, you can take them away. Shihouin Naraku glanced at the genin lying on the ground, drew out his zanpakuto and went to the side to continue his training. For him now, the most important thing is to improve his physical fitness so that his body can accommodate more chakra to enhance his strength. Therefore, at this stage, it is most appropriate for him to practice physical skills. The Jōnin present looked at each other. Since Shihouin Naraku had already made the decision, there was nothing they could do but wait until Uzumaki Naruto and the others woke up. If you have something to do, go ahead and do it. I'll just stay here. Hitaki Kakashi glanced at his subordinates. Sasuke and Naruto fell the latest, which made him feel relieved. Bang! Sarutobi Asuma lit a cigarette, put it in his mouth and said, "Let's stay here. After all, we are instructors. How can we be busy with other things when our students are lying on the ground?" As he spoke, Sarutobi Asuma scratched his head in distress. None of his 3 students persisted to the end. Yamanaka Ino and Nara Shikamaru were the first to fall. The strange thing was that Akamichi Choji was the one who held on the longest among the 3. It seems that when I comfort the 3 people afterwards, I will treat Choji to barbecue to reward him. Sarutobi Asuma felt a little sorry for his wallet. It was really too expensive to have a foodie in the ninja team. He originally wanted to save money to marry a wife. Shihihong looked at her student with some softness in her heart, hesitated for a moment, and still did not step forward. Might Guy was still full of energy. After seeing that his student didn't have any major problems, he even wanted to train directly with Shihouin Naraku. In the test just now, the ninja team he was in charge of performed very well. Even Tenten, who was the first to fall among the 3, performed much better than the others, not to mention Neji and Rock Lee who persisted to the end. So after finding out that the students didn't have much of a problem, Might Guy jumped up and jumped next to Shihouin Naraku, ready to practice taijutsu. "Huh, what are you doing here? The students are still lying there." Shihouin Naraku looked at the energetic Might Guy and said, "Your 3 students are all good, but the one from the Hyuga clan has some psychological problems." "Oh, Neji." Might Guy suddenly became a little dispirited. As an instructor, he was certainly aware of Hyuga Neji's problems. The conflict between the Hyuga clan's main family and branch houses is known not only to Konohagakure, but also to other ninja villages. But even if Might Guy knew about this, he couldn't solve it. Only the patriarch or Hokage of the Hyuga clan could take action to resolve the conflict. Anyway, this problem is definitely not something a Konoha Village Jōnin can interfere with. After all, this is someone else's family matter, and it is really difficult for outsiders to interfere. Shihouin Naraku was just reminding Might Guy to pay attention to Hyuga Neji's problem, at least to avoid any major problems. Anyway, Uzumaki Naruto's ability of talking is quite powerful in the early stage, and he should be able to defeat his brother-in-law. After a brief chat, Shihouin Naraku began his own taijutsu training. In Konoha Village, Might Guy is undoubtedly the taijutsu expert. His presence really helps Shihouin Naraku a lot. At least his taijutsu training is more efficient. Bang, bang, bang. Clang, clang, clang. The sounds of fists and feet colliding and weapons clashing rang in my ears. Uzumaki Naruto opened his eyes dazedly, sat up, and looked around. He found himself lying on the ground, and not far away, Teacher Kakashi was chatting with a man and a woman. In another part of the training ground, Brother Naraku was fighting with the thick-browed teacher again. What is going on? Suddenly, a terrifying figure flashed through my mind. Uzumaki Naruto came to his senses, eyes widened, and looked at the Shihouin Naraku holding the Kurakara with some fear. The bone-deep feeling of oppression and crazy momentum was so unforgettable that for a moment he didn't even dare to look past it. Several Jōnin also saw the awakened Uzumaki Naruto, and as Naruto woke up, the other genins woke up one by one. In the end, the few people who did not wake up in time were still forced to wake up. However, most people subconsciously avoided Shihouin Naraku's location and didn't even dare to look at him. Uzumaki Naruto, Rock Lee and others who had a good mentality and were not afraid of attacks gradually recovered from the threat of Conqueror's Haki and looked to be in their usual state. Okay, take your students and go first. Shihouin Naraku landed on the ground and signaled Might Guy to stop fighting. Might Guy gave Shihouin Naraku a thumbs up in admiration and put away his nunchaku. Naraku, your strength has increased a lot since the last battle. Shihouin Naraku smiled but said nothing, then watched the instructors Jōnin leave with their students. As for those students who were hit hard, that was something that instructors like Hitaki Kakashi should worry about, and it had nothing to do with him. He only cares about killing and not burying. After the noisy group of people left, Shihouin Naraku continued his training. Meow! A cat's cry appeared outside the training ground. Shihouin Naraku stopped practicing, sheathed the Kurakara, and walked outside to see a pitch-black kitten calling to him. Is my custom-made item ready? Meow! Tell Granny Cat that I'll get it soon. Shihouin Naraku poured some food out of the prepared bento and fed it to the kitten. The black kitten meowed happily, then quickly finished its food, meowed in gratitude to Shihouin Naraku, climbed up a big tree nearby, and disappeared after a few jumps. The ninja cats are more efficient than humans. No wonder the Uchiha clan likes to deal with them. In order to practice physical training, Shihouin Naraku specially customized a set of weight-bearing equipment for himself. Taking into account the factors of quality and time, he went directly to the Ninja Cat clan and spent a lot of money to have them customize equipment for him. Originally, the Ninja Cat clan and the Uchiha family had a very good relationship, and they often provided them with intelligence and top-quality ninja tools. The Uchiha family's ninja tools, from small kunai and shuriken to large weapons and various ninja tools, were basically provided to them by the Ninja Cat clan. Although the price is high, the quality is indeed top-notch. However, now that the Uchiha family is on the verge of extinction, the Ninja Cat clan has begun to accept a large number of outsourced orders. After all, they have to feed so many cats and make a living. Chapter 62, Rebel Ninja Team. An unexpected encounter. In the past, the Ninja Cat clan would prioritize doing business with the Uchiha clan, while other ninjas would have to take a back seat. But now the Uchiha clan is on the verge of extinction, and the Ninja Cat clan cannot disappear with them, so they begin to accept a large number of orders from the Konoha Village ninjas. The Ninja Cat clan, who have a wide range of friends, can not only easily find out a lot of secret information, but also have a very good relationship with the Kingdom of Craftsmen. The country of craftsmen is extremely skilled in crafting all kinds of ninja tools, and accepts custom requests from ninjas for various reasons. Shihouin Naraku's weight-bearing equipment was handed over to the Kingdom of Craftsmen for manufacturing. Of course, the Ninja Cat clan was responsible for the contact and they would charge an agency fee. This is mainly because it is quick and convenient, otherwise Shihouin Naraku would directly use Konohagakure's channels to ask the Kingdom of Craftsmen to make equipment for him. The 5 major countries would purchase various ninja weapons from the land of craftsmen. The price was not expensive, but it was troublesome, and the quantity was very large, so Shihouin Naraku did not get involved. For Shihouin Naraku, price is not an issue, the key is customization and quality comes first. After finishing his training in the evening, Shihouin Naraku left Konohagakure. The Ninja Cat clan lives in the Ninja Cat Castle in the empty area, which is a ruin that does not belong to any country or force. If someone wants to buy ninja tools or get information, they will come to this ruin to look for the Ninja Cat clan. Arrive. Shihouin Naraku looked up at the scene in front of him, and a large area of ruins that looked like an unfinished building came into view. At this time, the sun was setting and the sunlight was gone. The ruins surrounded by the unfinished buildings were dead silent, which was really frightening at first glance. Walking alone in the silent empty area is like stepping into a ghost cave. As Shihouin Naraku walked, he noticed that pairs of strange pupils lit up in those dim unfinished buildings. Meow, you don't even need special effects to shoot ghost movies in this place. Shihouin Naraku complained, ignoring the strange-looking cats that appeared, and walked quickly towards the ninja cat castle. These ninja cats that look like little tigers and foxes are not simple at all. Most of them have the strength of Jōnin, and there are even some that are stronger than them. Who are you? Meow. Grandma Cat's guest. Come and get something. A white ninja cat that looked like a little tiger suddenly appeared in front of Shihouin Naraku. It squatted on the ground like a guard and licked its sharp claws. It was obviously a cat, but it spoke human language. Sniff. The white ninja cat shrugged its nose, as if it smelled a familiar scent, and stood up and said, "Welcome guests. Please come in." Although he said please come in, the white ninja cat showed no intention of leaving. Shihouin Naraku took out a scroll from his pocket and threw it over. There is a freshly made Mu Tian Liao drink in it. Please drink it. Meow. Thank you for your generous guests. The white ninja cat jumped up, hugged the scroll with its front paws, and ran away happily. Oh, I forgot that there are guests at my mother-in-law's place. Forget it, this is a fresh Mu Tianjiao drink. After hesitating for a moment, the white ninja cat couldn't resist the scent of the botanical gardenia and threw the scroll onto its back, turning around and disappearing. Shihouin Naraku watched the white ninja cat disappear, and couldn't help but sigh that no matter which world the cats were from, they couldn't resist the attraction of Kitano Ryo. Because he had been to the empty area several times, Shihouin Naraku didn't need the ninja cat to lead the way and just walked forward. At this time, the ninja cats who were hiding in the dark and on guard saw that the guards did not stop Shihouin Naraku, which meant that they were not enemies, so they gradually disappeared one by one. Just after entering the ninja cat castle and before stepping into the corridor leading to the cat granny's residence, Shihouin Naraku heard footsteps coming towards him. Are there any other guests at this hour? Shihouin Naraku reacted immediately, and the white ninja cat guard just now blocked in front of him. It turned out that there were other guests at the cat lady's place. As a result, the guard neglected his duty because of the Mu Tian Liao drink he took out. Two people. Shihouin Naraku stood there and thought for a moment, then stepped aside and leaned against the wall nearby. After all, they are all guests of the ninja cat clan. If they are not enemies, it would be difficult to fight here, so he does not want to take action. But as a high-ranking official in Konoha Village, he had no intention of retreating directly, so it would be polite enough to give way. Da. The footsteps gradually became clearer, and two figures walked out from the corner. Clang. Kurakara suddenly unsheathed his sword, and Shihouin Naraku, holding a pitch-black straight-blade knife, stood in the middle of the road with murderous intent. A pair of eyes stared at the two figures that appeared. He wore a bamboo hat with wind chimes tied to it and a black windbreaker embroidered with red clouds. Akatsuki Organization. Uchiha Itachi. Happy New Year. How come they are here? However, no matter whether the two people came to buy information or to buy ninja tools, they fell into Shihouin Naraku's hands. Now Shihouin Naraku really wants to try whether he can kill two people here with his current strength. As for the original plot development, the Pacific War between Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke, that has nothing to do with him, who cares? Since his strength has skyrocketed time and time again, Shihouin Naraku's warlike spirit has become increasingly strong. Crack. He. Mr. Itachi, it looks like the higher-ups at Konoha Village aren't going to let us leave that easily. Hoshigaki Kisame, who looked like a shark, drew out the weapon on his back, the big sword Samahata, and aimed it at Shihouin Naraku. There's no need to make a big fuss. This place is too close to Konoha Village. Uchiha Itachi took off the bamboo hat with wind chimes tied to it. His empty pupils had turned scarlet, filled with an ominous aura, and the three magatama were slowly spinning. Oh, it seems that Mr. Itachi is ready to take action. Is it because he saw someone from his hometown? He. Hoshigaki Kisame casually put the big sword Samahata behind him and relaxed his tense body. He had never seen many people who could resist those ominous eyes. Since Uchiha Itachi was willing to take action, that couldn't be better. Uchiha Itachi said nothing, but activated his powerful eye power and cast an illusion on Shihouin Naraku. He had no intention of hurting the other party. Shihouin Naraku was a high-ranking official in Konoha Village, and was indispensable in terms of both medical ninjutsu and combat strength, so after controlling him with the illusion, he prepared to leave. As for what Hoshigaki Kisame thinks, it's not a big deal. Under the Sharingan's illusion, all beings are equal. Hoshigaki Kisame, who often goes out on missions alone, understands this principle best. Shihouin Naraku, who was standing opposite the two, tilted his head and watched the performance of Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame. With a whoosh, beautiful flames danced on the black blade. Are you looking down on me? Don't you want to just use the 3 Magatama Genjutsu without opening the Mangekyo Sharingan and casting Tsukuyomi? Feeling the illusion falling towards him, Shihouin Naraku pulled a smile from the corner of his mouth. The next second, Shihouin Naraku, who was resisting the illusion, appeared in front of Uchiha Itachi. Kurakara drew an arc in the dim evening, with the flames shining, beautiful and dangerous. Chapter 63, Crush. Battle pause. Clang. Bang. Boom. 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 Shihouin Naraku seemed to teleport, and withstood Uchiha Itachi's 3 Tomo Sharingan illusion, and slashed down swiftly with Kurakara in hand. Hoshigaki Kisame drew out his broadsword Samahata in an instant and blocked Uchiha Itachi in front of him. Sparks flew as the 2 weapons collided. Fire-style Great Fire. Uchiha Itachi reacted very quickly. When he found that the illusion had no effect at all, he quickly formed seals with his hands and condensed his chakra at his throat, ready to spit out a huge fireball at any time. But before he could complete the hand seal, Shihouin Naraku punched him with a fire fist, knocking him away. As for Uchiha Itachi's great fireball technique, it was directly interrupted and was not released at all. Then Shihouin Naraku raised his foot and kicked Hoshigaki Kisame in the abdomen, and the burst of strange force kicked him away alive. Wow! A mouthful of blood spurted out, and Hoshigaki Kisame was smashed all the way, plowing a long trench on the ground, and then smashed hard on the unfinished building. A huge roar was heard, the unfinished building was shaking, and thick smoke and dust were rising around it. Clang! Shihouin Naraku held his breath, holding a sharp blade, caught up with Hoshigaki Kisame and slashed from bottom to top again. Clang! Amid the scattered sparks, sharp spikes were thrown away. A strange animal sound appeared in the smoke. Shihouin Naraku waved his left hand, and the air was swept up, carrying the smoke and dust away. Shihouin Naraku looked at the big knife Samahata that was originally covered with bandages and had completely changed. At this time, Samahata was covered with barbs and swelled into a fat, evil fish, with sharp teeth clenched in its mouth. This is a fierce weapon with life and will. Samahata's long handle was like a rope, connected to Hoshigaki Kisame's palm, transferring a large amount of chakra that had been stored to him. At the same time, Hoshigaki Kisame was recovering rapidly from the injury caused by the kick in the abdomen. Samahata, who was standing in front of Hoshigaki Kisame, roared at Shihouin Naraku, its fangs flashing coldly, and it could be clearly seen that there were several severed barbs on its body. This was caused by the collision with Kurakara just now. The extremely sharp black blade of Kurakara is beyond the reach of any other weapon. Shihouin Naraku, no matter how eager Samahata was to protect his master, the blade flashed, the shrill whistle reappeared, and Kurakara slashed down quickly. Clang! Puff! Hoshigaki Kisame was not so easy to admit defeat. He grabbed Samahata and held Kurakara at the most dangerous moment, but as his injuries had not yet recovered, he couldn't help but spit out blood. Shihouin Naraku raised an eyebrow, grasped the handle of Kurakara with his right hand, and began to apply force, and the blade cut into the inside of Samahata little by little. Hoshigaki Kisame gritted his teeth and used all his strength to try to lift Samahata up, but was pressed down little by Shihouin Naraku. A traitor ninja from Konoha Village. A traitor ninja from Kurigakure. You appear in the Fire Nation. What do you want to do? Oh. Hoshigaki Kisame showed an ugly smile on his face and did not intend to answer. Sizzle. Shihouin Naraku moved his wrist slightly, chakra burst out, jumping lightning instantly wrapped around the blade, and Samahata let out a painful roar. Supersonic lightning style knife. With the help of the ultra-high frequency vibration induced by lightning style, Kurakara's already top-notch sharpness and penetrating power were further enhanced, and it cut deeply into Samahata's body. It was only one step away from cutting the knife off. Sniff sniff. Several hidden weapons quickly shuttled and collided in the air, changing their routes and attacking from Shihouin Naraku's blind spot. Such a sharp hidden weapon throwing technique is naturally the Uchiha clan's specialty. Facing the attack from hidden weapons, Shihouin Naraku still stood in place, holding Kurakara with one hand and pressing down. It seemed that he was determined to get rid of Hoshigaki Kisame even if he was seriously injured. Oink oink. Shihouin Naraku tilted his head slightly, lowered his shoulders, and then pressed his upper body forward, thus easily dodging all the hidden weapons from his blind spots. Hoshigaki Kisame was under tremendous pressure, holding Samahata with both hands to resist, and involuntarily turned his head to look at Uchiha Itachi. How can it be so accurate? After being partners for so long, this was the first time that Hoshigaki Kisame saw that all of Uchiha Itachi's hidden weapon throwing was ineffective. Are you two from Konoha Village practicing to kill an honest man like me? Shihouin Naraku glanced at Uchiha Itachi. At this time, the three-tomo Sharingan in his scarlet pupils had turned into a dart-like pattern, and 2 lines of blood and tears were slowly falling. A red bone-like thing just dissipated from Uchiha Itachi's body. Shihouin Naraku knew that it was Susanoo, the power housed in the Mangekyo Sharingan, which could use the power of the pupil to materialize huge chakra to form a burly god of war for fighting and defense. Just now, Uchiha Itachi relied on Susanoo to block Shihouin Naraku's fire fist and was not injured. Amaterasu. Taking in the details that the illusion just now did not work, Uchiha Itachi simply opened his right eye and activated the ability of the Mangekyo Sharingan, Amaterasu. Amaterasu activated a black flame that was strong enough to burn everything and would never go out, instantly igniting half of Shihouin Naraku's body holding Kurakara. Uchiha Itachi took a long breath, cried out in pain and covered his right eye. A line of blood and tears flowed down involuntarily. Amaterasu that can never burn people to death. Shihouin Naraku seemed not to feel the pain of burning, still holding the sharp blade in one hand to suppress Hoshigaki Kisame. Looking down at the black flames that were igniting half of his body, Shihouin Naraku suddenly had a strange feeling. The Mara fruit user who no one wants to eat meets Amaterasu who can never burn anyone to death. Uchiha Itachi looked at Shihouin Naraku who was burned by the black flames in shock. The other party's completely nonchalant attitude showed that Amaterasu did not cause any damage at all. But how is this done? Hoshigaki Kisame was suppressed and unable to move while being burned by Amaterasu's black flames. Isn't this strength a bit outrageous? Ahem. How about you guys give me some face and stop? Just when the three were about to engage in a more fierce fight, an old woman slowly walked out and stopped everyone. At least don't fight in the air zone. This is the children's home. The cat lady looked at the 3 people, and behind her followed a large number of ninja cats with fierce light flashing in their pupils. Hearing this, everyone present looked at Shihouin Naraku. Obviously, unless Shihouin Naraku agrees, the battle will continue. Suddenly, Shihouin Naraku's handsome face showed a smile. Since Granny Cat said so, of course there is no problem. After saying that, he began to retract his strength. Kuragala made a sword flower in the air and returned the sword to the sheath with a clang. As if the battle had not broken out, without caring whether Hoshigaki Kisame would launch a sneak attack, he walked towards the cat lady. As he walked away, orange-red flames began to ignite all over his body, enveloping Amaterasu's black flames, and then all fell to the ground. But Shihouin Naraku didn't have any injuries on his body. Chapter 64, Heavy Equipment. Explosion. The battle restarts. Walk. Uchiha Itachi blinked his eyes, and the pattern of the Mangekyo Sharingan disappeared, transforming into the 3-tomo Sharingan, before his eyes returned to normal. Crack. Hoshigaki Kisame, whose injuries had completely recovered, smiled, put his sword Samahata on his back, and followed Uchiha Itachi. What a shame. Samahata is very dissatisfied. Although he doesn't like Shihouin Naraku's chakra, it's nice to be able to replenish it a little. Although somewhat dissatisfied, Hoshigaki Kisame still followed Uchiha Itachi away. He'll catch up. Uchiha Itachi glanced at Hoshigaki Kisame with certainty. The meaning is clear: if you want revenge, there is still a chance. I see. That's a really dangerous enemy. The battle just now was really frustrating. Many of Hoshigaki Kisami's abilities were not brought into play, and he was suppressed by Shihouin Naraku, which made him a little unhappy. At the beginning, Hoshigaki Kisame stood out to help Uchiha Itachi block the powerful slash, but Shihouin Naraku saw the opportunity and attacked him all over the head, knocking him unconscious. By the time he reacted, he was already injured and was completely suppressed. Many of his methods were still useless, so Hoshigaki Kisame was very dissatisfied. So, Itachi-san, what intel can you tell me about Shihouin Naraku? All I knew before was that he was an excellent medical ninja, but now it seems like there's something fatally wrong with that intel. Uchiha Itachi thought deeply for a moment, but shook his head and said, I am not familiar with Shihouin Naraku. Apart from knowing that he is a student of Tsunade, one of the Sannin, and has become a high-ranking official in Konoha Village, the most I know is that he is a medical ninja. Uchiha Itachi really didn't lie about this. Because according to his previous understanding, all he knew was the more popular information. During the period when Shihouin Naraku's power skyrocketed, Uchiha Itachi was not in Konohagakure at all, so he had no idea what changes had taken place in Shihouin Naraku. The only ones in Akatsuki who knew that something was wrong with Shihouin Naraku's strength were Zetsu and Uchiha Obito. But Uchiha Obito is now half dead and relying on the Geto statue for survival, and Zetsu is busy cleaning up the mess left by Obito. He has no time to report the information about Shihouin Naraku. Of course, even without these things, Zetsu and Uchiha Obito would not easily reveal the information about Shihouin Naraku. Therefore, Akatsuki's understanding of Shihouin Naraku is the same as that of most people in the ninja world. The top medical ninja, a high-ranking official in Konoha Village, and a student of Tsunade, one of the Sannin. These are the labels on Shihouin Naraku. As for completing other tasks outside, since Anbu wears a mask when he goes out, no one knows that these things have anything to do with him. Hoshigaki Kisame heard Uchiha Itachi's answer without any doubt. Judging from Shihouin Naraku's attitude just now, he was definitely trying to kill both him and Uchiha Itachi, so there was nothing to doubt. Looks like we need to prepare the bait and wait for Shihouin Naraku to take the bait. This is your customized weight-bearing equipment. Please take a look and see if you are satisfied with it. Granny Cat handed over a scroll, which contained weight-bearing equipment stored using space-time ninjutsu, and could be taken out by simply performing summoning. Shihouin Naraku raised his sword finger, opened the scroll, and directly took out a pair of wrist guards. This is a pair of black wristbands with very complex and beautiful lines carved on them, which looks quite eye-catching. When Shihouin Naraku stretched out his hands to grab the pair of black wrist guards, he felt his hands suddenly feel heavy. He was caught off guard and almost dropped them to the ground. Customers, please be careful. This is custom-made equipment and cannot be returned. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Granny Cat looked at Shihouin Naraku with a smile. This business deal was not small at all and the Ninja Cat clan benefited a lot from it. It's okay, I just wasn't prepared. The jet black wristband feels cool to the touch, as if it is made of some special alloy, but it does not feel uncomfortable when worn on the hand. Instead, it feels soft and fits well. This time, Shihouin Naraku customized the weight-bearing equipment, which was a pair of wrist guards, a pair of leggings, a waist guard, and a vest, all of which were specially made. Wrist guards and leggings come in pairs. A pair weighs 2,000 pounds, or 1 ton. 2 pairs means 2 tons. The waist protector weighs 800 kilograms. The vest weighs 1,000 pounds. This means that if Shihouin Naraku puts on all of these equipment, it would be equivalent to carrying a direct load of 2.9 tons. Of course, Shihouin Naraku will not put on all the weights at the beginning, he also needs to adapt to it, after all, he has never done this before. Carrying nearly 3 tons of weight on his body is quite heavy, and Shihouin Naraku doesn't want to be crushed to death by the weight. Very good, I am very satisfied. Here is the rest of the payment. As long as the customers are satisfied. Granny Cat took the reward, watched Shihouin Naraku put away the scroll and turned to leave. She seemed to be hesitant to speak for a long time, but in the end she just sighed and said nothing. Given her relationship with the Uchiha clan, she certainly couldn't bear to see that there were only a pair of brothers left in such a big family, and they were enemies. Cat Granny didn't know that Obito was not dead. And when Shihouin Naraku left, it was obvious that he was going to fight Uchiha Itachi. But Granny Cat couldn't say anything more. After all, Uchiha Itachi's current identity was a traitor ninja from Konoha Village. As a high-ranking official in Konoha Village, it is only natural for Shihouin Naraku to hunt down the rebellious ninjas. As for why Shihouin Naraku stopped just now, it was also because of the pleasant transactions in the past. In addition, the empty area is the place of the Ninja Cat clan, so he did not continue to kill. But now, there is no reason to stop it. There is no need for a reason for ninjas to fight each other. Observation Haki expand. Shihouin Naraku heard numerous voices, and also found the traces of Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame in an instant. Let me see, are these traps set in advance? After finding the enemy's trail, Shihouin Naraku rushed towards Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame without stepping into any traps. The trap didn't trigger. Uchiha Itachi frowned. If one or two of the traps were discovered by Shihouin Naraku and therefore not triggered, then how was it possible that all of them were discovered? Here it comes. Uchiha Itachi, who was jumping in the forest, let out a low shout, and Hoshigaki Kisame revealed a ferocious smile on his face. He turned in the air, quickly formed seals with his hands, puffed up his cheeks, and prepared to release a powerful water-style ninjutsu. Water-style explosive water rush. Fire fist. Before he could release his extremely skilled water-style ninjutsu, a giant flaming fist that pierced the sky and the earth came crashing down. The blazing flames ignited the forest in an instant, and the terrifyingly high temperature burned the sky red. The speed is extremely fast and the range is very wide. The giant flaming fist carried a terrifying impact, completely devouring Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame in an instant, and then exploded with a loud bang. The rising smoke and flames formed a mushroom cloud in the air, which looked spectacular and beautiful. Chapter 65 Susanoo. Ten-Fist Sword. Yata Mirror. Boom. A huge explosion echoed in the forest, startling countless animals and sending them fleeing. Swish. Shihouin Naraku landed on a large tree, stepped on the branches, and looked at the location of the explosion. In the fiercely burning flames, an orange-red god of war that looked like a skeleton with only the upper body stood on the ground, not afraid of the scorching flames at all. This is Uchiha Itachi's Susanoo. This Susanoo, who only has half of his body, holds the artifact shield Yata Mirror in one hand and the artifact Ten-Fist Sword with sealing power in the other. It can be said to be both offensive and defensive. With a whoosh, Susanoo swung the Ten-Fist Sword, which looked like an invisible red flame, and easily extinguished the surrounding flames. Tisk, Uchiha Itachi is really well equipped. No wonder he died. With his talent and equipment, if he really burst out with all his strength, few people could be his match. So, is Uchiha Itachi now seriously ill? Shihouin Naraku is not afraid of Uchiha Itachi's strength, mainly because the opponent's physical fitness is too poor. Take Susanoo for example. Let alone releasing her complete form, just looking at her current skeleton state, if she persists for too long, Uchiha Itachi will be exhausted to death. Even though it wasn't a few years later, Shihouin Naraku was sure that Uchiha Itachi's health wasn't much better. To be precise, Uchiha Itachi's problem is not in his body, but in his heart. He doesn't want to live anymore. Yes, he really doesn't want to live anymore. Uchiha Itachi, who was so cruel that he could massacre all the men, women and children of his own clan, really had no guilt, discomfort or pain at all. How is that possible? Sharingan is the ability to reflect one's inner self. Only those of the Uchiha clan, who have deep and abundant emotions, can awaken the Sharingan after being stimulated. Simply put, the better a person is at Sharingan, the stronger the emotions. After all, there is hate only when there is love. In Shihouin Naraku's opinion, Uchiha Itachi has actually given up on living for a long time. When his only concern, Uchiha Sasuke, grows up, he will voluntarily die without anyone killing him. He thought that dying at the hands of Uchiha Sasuke was the best ending. It would be strange if a person who is just waiting to die like this can be in good health. Whoosh, crack. Shihouin Naraku watched Uchiha Itachi still in deep thought, while Susanoo on the opposite side had already taken action. The ten-fist sword suddenly became longer and turned into a flaming spear that slashed towards him. This attack directly cut the tree that Shihouin Naraku was standing on into two pieces, but Naraku had already dodged it instantly. Uchiha Itachi did not proceed to the next move, but covered his eyes in pain, blood and tears continuously seeping out from the gaps in his palms. "Where are you going?" Shihouin Naraku dodged the ten-fist sword and was about to take advantage of the opportunity to attack, but Hoshigaki Kisame suddenly jumped out from behind him and slashed at him with Samahata in hand. On Hoshigaki Kisame's face and skin, there were large areas of burns that had not healed. It seemed that he had not avoided the attack of the fire fist just now. This is normal. After all, the honest Hoshigaki Kisame needs to make hand seals to release water style, but Shihouin Naraku just punched him with a fire fist without giving him time to make hand seals. It's totally unsportsmanlike. It was only natural that he got burned. If Uchiha Itachi's Susanoo hadn't appeared in time, Hoshigaki Kisame might have been hurt more seriously. Clang, clang, clang. Shihouin Naraku wielded Kuragara, and every time the pitch-black blade collided with Samahata in Hoshigaki Kisame's hand, it would cut off a lot of barbs, causing Samahata to scream in pain. Damn it! Who forged that knife? Why is it so sharp that even my Samahata can't withstand it? Hoshigaki Kisame knew that the blade that even Samahata could not withstand must not fall on him. If he was hit once, he would suffer terrible injuries. However, facing Shihouin Naraku's superb swordsmanship, Hoshigaki Kisame was firmly at a disadvantage. Apart from the sneak attack at the beginning, he now only had the ability to defend himself. The Kuragara sword in Shihouin Naraku's hand was faster and heavier than the last one. In this situation, Hoshigaki Kisame had no chance to release his ninjutsu. He was afraid that just as he was about to make a seal, Shihouin Naraku's knife would cut off his hands. After all, no matter how fast you make the seal, it still takes time. Even Uchiha Itachi had recovered and rushed into the battle, fighting alongside him against Shihouin Naraku. But Shihouin Naraku's swordsmanship was too beyond common sense, as if it was from another world, and for a moment the two of them didn't even have a way to crack it. The ninja can only rely on his own reaction and speed to fight against the sharp straight blade in Shihouin Naraku's hand. Tsukuyomi. Silently, Uchiha Itachi fought the backlash of the Mangekyo Sharingan, looked at Shihouin Naraku, and released the ability residing in his left eye, Tsukuyomi. The moment he fell into the illusion, Shihouin Naraku's left hand fingers moved slightly. I found the flaw. Water style. Big water wave. Seeing Shihouin Naraku trapped in the illusion, Hoshigaki Kisame did not hesitate to form hand seals and release water style ninjutsu. A huge amount of water gushed out of his mouth, forming a surging wave like the sea, forming an oversized oval water prison around Shihouin Naraku, completely trapping Shihouin Naraku inside. I'm best at dealing with ninjas that use fire style. How do you unleash fire style when you're surrounded by water? Hoshigaki Kisame seemed to see hope of his own victory. He now had the advantage of time, place and people. How could Shihouin Naraku, who was under the control of the illusion, have any chance to resist? He glanced at Uchiha Itachi, who was outside the super large water prison. He was squatting on the ground, covering his left eye. There is no way. The various abilities of the Mangekyo Sharingan are indeed extremely powerful. Even a strong man like Shihouin Naraku will instantly fall into Tsukuyomi's illusion, as can be seen from Madara, but the consumption and backlash of this ability are equally powerful. But there is no need to worry about it now, because Shihouin Naraku is about to be defeated and die in his hands, so it doesn't matter if Uchiha Itachi has problems. With a strange laugh, Hoshigaki Kisame and his weapon, the broadsword Samahata, merged together and transformed into a mermaid, looking terrifying and dangerous. I haven't used this form for a long time. I miss it. Hoshigaki Kisame, who had transformed into a half-merman, laughed strangely and rushed towards Shihouin Naraku, who was trapped in the water prison. His speed was more than 1 or 2 times faster than when he was outside. Turn into shark bait. At this time, Shihouin Naraku had been pulled into Tsukuyomi's illusion space by Uchiha Itachi and was bound. However, Shihouin Naraku was so mentally strong that before Uchiha Itachi could explain to him the illusion space, such as how all elements such as mass, location, and time were controlled by Uchiha Itachi, he picked up Kurakara and started to chop him wildly. How can there be such a high resistance to illusion? Uchiha Itachi was horrified to find that his eye power was rapidly depleting. Compared to his previous enemies, the amount of chakra he had to spend to change Shihouin Naraku's position, time, quality and other factors was too terrifying. At this rate, he will die from chakra exhaustion before Shihouin Naraku is killed. Chapter 66 was defeated and died at this moment. Uchiha Itachi actually had no intention of killing Shihouin Naraku from the beginning, but whether he could kill him or not is another matter. But at this point in the fight, it was no longer a question of whether he wanted to let go or not. If he didn't strike back ruthlessly, he would die instead. So he released the abilities of the Mangekyo Sharingan one after another, and cooperated with Hoshigaki Kisame to attack together. Even so, he was still at a disadvantage. Uchiha Itachi also discovered that Shihouin Naraku's resistance to illusions was ridiculously high. Although he could still be dragged into the illusion space by his ability, he could not completely dominate everything in the illusion space as he did in the past. Although they were clearly in his illusion space, Shihouin Naraku became more and more excited as he fought. Clang! The sharp blade continued to chop, instantly splitting Uchiha Itachi in two. Crash! Uchiha Itachi, who was hit by the sword light, turned into a crow flapping its wings in the sky, and its black feathers slowly fell down. Wow! Wow! Amid the sad cries of birds, many crows gathered in midair, and the illusory figure of Uchiha Itachi appeared. In that case, Uchiha Itachi's scarlet eyes burst with pupil power once again. An extremely large red moon hung in the sky behind him, looking extremely strange. The next second, the red moon fell like a meteorite towards Shihouin Naraku's location. In Shihouin Naraku's eyes, the red moon gradually grew larger and crashed down with terrifying momentum. Fake as fake. Shihouin Naraku tightened the Kurakara in his hand, his chakra gathered at the tip of the knife, and his eyes were fixed on the red moon that looked like a falling meteorite. Crescent moon sky rush. The pitch-black blade light instantly shot up into the sky and slashed at the red moon with a whistling sound. A sharp friction sound was heard, and the next second the blade light flashed and cut the red moon in half. Boom! Shihouin Naraku stood still, and the red moon split into two perfect semicircles and fell on the ground in the illusion space, causing waves, and the whole world seemed to be shaking. At this time, Uchiha Itachi could no longer maintain the stability of the illusion space. Shihouin Naraku's eyes flashed, and he returned to the real world. But in the outside world, only a moment had passed. Kakashi was tortured by Uchiha Itachi in the illusion space for 3 days. It was just a moment outside, but I only fought with Uchiha Itachi in the illusion space for less than 20 minutes. It may be because the spirit is strong enough and the resistance to illusions causes the difference. Because of the resistance to illusion, Uchiha Itachi needs to consume more chakra and pupil power to control the flow of time or change the position and mass in the illusion space. If he really creates an exaggerated time span on me like he did when he fought Kakashi, his chakra and pupil power may be exhausted before he even starts. After figuring this out, Shihouin Naraku felt that his spiritual attributes were indeed powerful. When he fought with Uchiha Obito before, he was able to destroy the opponent's illusion with just one sword in an instant. Now, facing the illusion of Uchiha Itachi Mangekyo Sharingan level, he is not at a disadvantage. When my spiritual attributes improve again, next time Uchiha Itachi won't even be able to pull me into the illusion space. Shihouin Naraku stood on the branch of a big tree, muttering to himself as he looked at the super large water prison. Hoshigaki Kisame transformed into a mermaid and attacked his shadow clone back and forth. That's right, from the very beginning, what Hoshigaki Kisame trapped was Shihouin Naraku's shadow clone. Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame both thought that the moment Tsukuyomi hit Shihouin Naraku, he lost the ability to control his body, but who could have thought that his resistance to illusions was so good that he had time to perform the body replacement technique and then leave Shadow Clone where it was. Therefore, Shihouin Naraku's real body had been waiting nearby, and Hoshigaki Kisame had only been attacking Shadow Clone. Kisame, run! Although it was only a moment, Uchiha Itachi, after the illusion space was shattered by the battle, already vaguely knew that it was only Shadow Clone that was trapped by Kisame. So the first thing he did when he reacted was to shout loudly, trying to keep Hoshigaki Kisame away from the Shadow Clone. But Hoshigaki Kisame, who was in the super large water dungeon, didn't hear it at all and continued to attack again and again. His figure quickly shuttled back and forth in the water dungeon. It looks like Kisame is having a lot of fun, so let me add some fireworks for you. Shihouin Naraku raised his left hand in front of him and whispered, "Arta's explosion. Drink." Bang! When Hoshigaki Kisame rushed to Shadow Clone again, he was surprised to find obvious cracks appearing on Shihouin Naraku's body. But it was too late for him to escape. With a muffled sound, Shadow Clone exploded, and flames and lightning instantly rushed in front of Hoshigaki Kisame. Because it was in the water, the flame only flashed for a moment, but it also caused the super large water prison to shake violently. The powerful electric light shuttled through the water and directly hit Hoshigaki Kisame's mermaid, causing his body to tremble uncontrollably. He was completely paralyzed by the electric light and was unable to break free for a while. "See you again." Shihouin Naraku's figure appeared above the super large water prison as if teleporting. In Hoshigaki Kisame's eyes filled with fear, he raised Kurakara with both hands and chopped him down without mercy. Crescent Moon Sky Rush, Yusaka's Magatama. At such a dangerous moment, Uchiha Itachi didn't care about the consumption of his eye power and forced to activate the second form of Susanoo again. At this time, Susanoo's skeleton form was already covered with meridians and flesh, and its appearance was even covered with chakra that looked like a coat. Under the control of Uchiha Itachi, Susanoo threw 3 huge Magatama connected together at Shihouin Naraku, who was standing in midair, just like throwing shuriken. The Yusaka Magatama spun rapidly in the air and instantly pierced through Shihouin Naraku's body. But Shihouin Naraku, who activated Observation Haki, went straight into elementalization, and even when hit by Yusaka Magatama, it didn't cause any damage. Swish! Uchiha Itachi's obstruction was of no use. The dark blade light was thrown out from the tip of Kurakara's sword, like a hot knife cutting butter, easily tearing through the super large water prison, flashing through the large amount of water, and fiercely slashing Hoshigaki Kisame, who was paralyzed by lightning and unable to move. Clatter! The torn super large water prison collapsed instantly, and huge amounts of water turned into waves and smashed down, flooding a large area of forest. A thin line-like mark appeared on Hoshigaki Kisame's forehead, and a trace of bloodline was revealed. His body was carried by the massive current and flowed through the forest until it hit a huge rock and stopped. As the water gradually dissipated, a spark fell from the sky and landed on Hoshigaki Kisame's body, instantly igniting a raging fire. In the blink of an eye, the body was burned to ashes. With a slight sound, Shihouin Naraku stepped on the boulder with Kurakara in his hand, and looked at Hoshigaki Kisame, who disappeared between heaven and earth, without any trace left. Goodbye, the honest man who likes to make seals. Clang. Chapter 67 Akatsuki Organization. Clang. Kurakara sheathed, Shihouin Naraku leapt up, stood on the crown of a large tree, and scanned the forest that had fallen into silence. It looks like he ran away. Despite being hit by his sword, Uchiha Itachi took advantage of the collapse of the water prison and the rush of water to escape. Anyway, Uchiha Itachi doesn't care, so that slash didn't actually do much damage. Shihouin Naraku raised his eyebrows and raised the corners of his mouth, revealing a malicious smile. The blade he swung out just now directly cut off Susanoo's physical chakra, leaving a horrible scar on Uchiha Itachi's body. If I was not mistaken, that was where the kidney was. But Uchiha Itachi was always thinking about his brother and didn't care about the kidney at all. Of course, this is just a joke. All organs inside the human body are vital. Shihouin Naraku's knife was obviously very cruel. Uchiha Itachi, who was already in poor health, might not be able to withstand it and might die directly. This trip out of the village was quite rewarding. I got the customized equipment and killed the destined enemy in advance. Wait, Hoshigaki Kisame is dead, what about Obito and Kabuto's plans later? Forget it. It's none of my business anyway. Let them figure it out on their own. Perhaps Uchiha Obito would have died long ago after being hit so hard. Shihouin Naraku thought about his battle and suddenly realized that he had a great influence on the future direction. Uchiha Obito, the initiator of the Ninja World War, is now seriously injured by Shihouin Naraku and his life or death is unknown, which will definitely affect the future direction. Another Yakushi Kabuto who was related to the Ninja World War was currently working under Shihouin Naraku, managing the corpse disposal team of the medical department. When you think about it this way, the appearance of Shihouin Naraku did have a big impact. Suddenly Shihouin Naraku's expression changed. If Uchiha Obito died and the Ninja World War was not launched, how could he serve as a high-ranking official of the United Ninja Forces? Let me think. The images of Uchiha Madara and Zetsu flashed through his mind, and Shihouin Naraku relaxed. Even if Uchiha Obito died, these two would definitely not stop their plan. Therefore, the Ninja World War will break out sooner or later, it is just a matter of time. And even if something unexpected happens, I'm still here. I can start a ninja war. Thinking of this, Shihouin Naraku was satisfied. No matter what, nothing can hinder his promotion. Cough cough, cough cough. Who? Uchiha Itachi leaned against a well-hidden cave and bandaged his wounds briefly. Then he immediately cleaned up the blood dripping on the ground to prevent the smell of blood from causing unnecessary trouble. Ahem. Looks like Shihouin Naraku didn't catch up. Uchiha Itachi endured the pain in his body and lowered his head to think for a while, then chakra flowed into the ring with the word, Zu, on it that he was wearing, and a special signal was instantly sent out. The Land of Rain, a secret base. A man with orange hair, a black nail-shaped chakra receiver on his nose, and wearing a red cloud and black robe suddenly spoke, as if he had noticed something. What's wrong? Pain. Next to the man stood a beautiful woman with short blue-purple hair and a light blue paper flower on the right side of her hair. These two people are Nagato and Konan from Akatsuki. However, Nagato's real body is hiding somewhere in the Land of Rain at this time. He is relying on the Rinnegan to control the bodies of his dead companions to create puppets. The way of heaven in Pain's 6 paths. Suzaku just contacted me. Tendo Yahiko's facial expression didn't change at all. After all, this body was just a puppet, and the one who was speaking was Nagato hiding behind it. Uchiha Itachi. Konan frowned beautifully, she never really trusted Uchiha Itachi. It wasn't long since they completed their last mission. They should be resting now. Didn't Uchiha Itachi say they were going to replenish their used ninja tools? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Is there something wrong? Call over and you'll find out. Nagato controlled Tendo Yahiko to raise his sword finger and connect to the signal sent by Uchiha Itachi. Then, in the secret and dim base, a flashing colorful illusion appeared. It was Uchiha Itachi. This ability is called the slide body technique, often used for communication between members of Akatsuki. What's wrong with you? Even though it was an illusion, Tendo Pain felt that there was something wrong with Uchiha Itachi's current mental state. Are you hurt? Kisame is dead. I am injured and need treatment from the organization. Although this happened so suddenly, Uchiha Itachi's words remained calm. He briefly described the current situation. What? Konan stared at the illusion of Uchiha Itachi, somewhat doubting his words. Contact us. There was no rise or fall in Tendo Yahiko's voice, but he raised his sword and tried to contact Hoshigaki Kisame through the slide body technique, but there was no response. Either Hoshigaki Kisame is dead, or the special ring used for communication is damaged. Who is the enemy? Which ninja village attacked you? Was it Konoha Village? There was only one enemy. The high-ranking officer of Konoha Village, Shihouin Naraku. During the battle, no fourth person appeared. One person. A ninja attacks you and Hoshigaki Kisame at the same time. How does the other person look? All is well. Maybe a little tired mentally, but it must have consumed a lot of chakra and energy. Uchiha Itachi. Are you kidding me about some kind of ugly joke? Konan and Uchiha Itachi asked and answered questions, and gradually sorted out the general outline of the matter. The famous Uchiha Itachi and Kurigakure rebel ninja Hoshigaki Kisame in the ninja world faced a ninja from Konoha Village, and one of them died and the other was injured. Do you understand what you are talking about? Uchiha Itachi. I've made it very clear. Pain Tiandao interrupted the two men's questions and said in an unquestionable tone, tell us everything that happened word for word, starting from the time you finished the last assassination mission. Conan, Scorpion and Deidara are still at the base, go inform them to rush over for support immediately. With undisguised suspicion on her beautiful face, Conan looked deeply at Uchiha Itachi, then turned and walked out. You may begin, Uchiha Itachi. After the last assassination mission, Kisame and I went to the empty area to replenish the consumed ninja tools. On the way, the transaction was completed, and when we were leaving, Shihouin Naraku directly attacked. Then, I wanted to save Kisame, but failed, so I evacuated immediately. Uchiha Itachi did not hide anything and told Pain Tendo everything that happened after he met Shihouin Naraku. After listening to Uchiha Itachi's explanation, Nagato did not control Tendo Pain to speak for a long time. He waited for a long time before saying, in addition to Scorpion and Deidara, Conan and I will also meet you at the border of the Land of Fire. If the other party really shows up, lure him over. I will personally take action and kill him. New. Uchiha Itachi finished speaking and the illusion dissipated. The only sound that could be heard in the dim bass was the echoing sound. The Guardian. Chapter 68 Art Duo. Hey, I was planning to go dig for clay. I already have an idea. This time I will definitely be able to create a work of art that will shock the world. But I just happened to have a mission at this time. Deidara with yellow hair muttered that this was the critical moment for his artistic creation, and he was confident that this work would be the most artistic. Shut up. Only eternity is art. Let's go now, I don't like waiting for anyone. The young man with red hair and unexpectedly handsome looks put down the tools in his hands, placed the unfinished puppet aside, and carefully covered it up. He is Scorpion who turned himself into a human puppet, the former genius puppeteer of Sunagaku. Deidara was very dissatisfied with Scorpion's understanding of art. He loudly retorted, Brother Scorpion, art is always born in an instant. Yeah. Eternal beauty doesn't exist, your art is wrong, Shut up. If you keep talking, I'll kill you. Cut. Seeing Scorpion enter the special puppet, Hear you Amber, Deidara snorted disdainfully, and then ended the debate about art, turned to look at Conan, what is the mission? Conan was not surprised, and only then told the two the content of the mission. She said, Go to the Land of Fire to pick up Uchiha Itachi, he is injured. Hoshigaki Kisame has died in the hands of the enemy. What? Deidara and Scorpion in the Scarlet Amber asked the same question at the same time. Although they were not very good friends with each other, they both knew the strength of Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame, so they were very surprised. At this time, the voice coming out of Fei Luhuli was different from that of Xie, and it sounded more gloomy. He asked speculatively, did they encounter the ninja team from Konoha Village? Since they were attacked in the Land of Fire, the most likely cause of the attack was the ninjas from Konoha Village, so Scorpion made this guess. It is indeed a ninja from Konoha Village, but there is only one. Quote. At this moment, both of them were silent. I need to prepare some more clay, so let's go later. The puppet needs some changes. Give me some time. Despite their pride, Deidara and Sasori both knew that if a ninja single-handedly killed Hoshigaki Kisame and injured Uchiha Itachi, their presence would be in vain. Of course, I'm not that afraid. Both of them need to prepare well, at least before the life and death battle begins, they cannot be unprepared. According to Uchiha Itachi's intelligence, the enemy has already withdrawn. Quote. Can't you just finish your words at once? Conan ignored Deidara and Sasori and turned away. Deidara's attention was now focused on Uchiha Itachi. After all, the reason why he joined Akatsuki was because he was defeated by Uchiha Itachi who came to him with an illusion, so he joined reluctantly. Of course, Deidara now likes Akatsuki very much. In his opinion, the special abilities of all members of Akatsuki are a kind of art, and Akatsuki is the best artist figure. Therefore, Deidara, who considers himself a great artist, is very satisfied with the Akatsuki organization and is even proud of it. Brother Scorpion, let's go. I can't wait to see how embarrassed Uchiha Itachi gets. Yeah. Even if he is injured, you are no match for him. Cut. Deidara spread out his right hand, and in the center of his palm there was a mouth chewing. Not long after, a large amount of explosive clay came out of the mouth, forming a giant white bird that could fly, flapping its wings at a low altitude. Scorpion and Deidara both boarded the giant bird and flew towards the Fire Nation. That's why Nagato sent 2 people, they can reach Uchiha Itachi's side faster. On the other side, when Konan returned to the base, he saw Nagato standing with Akatsuki's intelligence agent Zetsu. How about it, do you have any detailed information about Shihouin Naraku? It's all routine intelligence, totally useless. His strength growth is a bit strange. Tendo Pain shook his head, then said, although Zetsu has collected a lot of information, the previous Shihouin Naraku only showed the appearance of an ordinary genius and did not find any other problems. We'll talk about these things later. Let's rush to the Fire Country border to pick them up. If Shihouin Naraku shows up, kill him directly. Konan simply shook his head and refused. I can go, you stay in the village. Nagato knew that Konan was concerned about his health. After all, because of his previous injuries, he now had to stay in special equipment all year round. If he needed to go out, it would be very troublesome. If it wasn't necessary, Konan didn't even want Tendo Pain to send Nagato out. After a moment of silence, Tendo Pain nodded and agreed to Konan's proposal, you can go. I believe that if Shihouin Naraku shows up, he will not be your opponent. But you must bring everything with you, just in case. No. Konan turned and left to go provide support. At this time, Tendo Pain turned around, looked at Zetsu who had been silent and pretending to be dead, and asked, where is Uchiha Madara? Why didn't he come? He had something to do, so he didn't show up. Black Zetsu's low voice sounded. At this moment, it didn't even dare to let White Zetsu, who had merged with it, speak, for fear of being exposed. Tell Madara to come see me as soon as possible. We have something to discuss. After Tendo Pain finished speaking, he signaled Zetsu that he could leave and continue to collect information about Shihouin Naraku. Ju nodded, then merged into the ground and disappeared. In the secret base where Akatsuki stores the Gedo statue, Zetsu's figure emerges. Damn it! Why did this happen? How did they run into this? Hoshigaki Kisame is dead. What a loser. On the surface, Hoshigaki Kisame serves the Akatsuki organization, but secretly Uchiha Obito has already confessed his identity to the other party and recruited him in advance. Of course, what Uchiha Obito confessed to Hoshigaki Kisame was that he was posing as Uchiha Madara. But it's no use saying anything now, after all, the person has been burned to ashes. It was a pretty good chess piece, but it was ruined for no apparent reason. Black Zetsu felt that he was definitely having bad luck. Ever since Uchiha Obito fell ill and went to fight Shihouin Naraku, the original plan began to go completely astray. Kurigakure had a lot of things to deal with, but before they were all dealt with, the Akatsuki organization was confronted by Shihouin Naraku again. Why is all this happening? Black Zetsu's face darkened as he looked at Uchiha Obito, who was unconscious and could only rely on the Gedo statue to keep him alive. No, his entire appearance is black. No need to go black. Hold on for a while longer. No matter what, Uchiha Obito must not die. Black Zetsu, as the mastermind behind all this, knows that Uchiha Obito will play a very important role, and without him, many things will have to be replanned. We have to find a way to resurrect Uchiha Madara in advance. This is the only way to ensure that the plan is implemented smoothly and no accidents occur. After thinking for a while, Black Zetsu turned and left. With White Zetsu Afe who had fused with Uchiha Obito around, it was not worried about any danger. And Uchiha Obito, who was lying unconscious on the side, had all kinds of green branches growing all over his body. Chapter 69 New Appointments, Tribesmen returning to the village. Not to mention the Akatsuki organization that was dispatched due to the death of Hoshigaki Kisame and the injury of Uchiha Itachi, Shihouin Naraku had already returned to Konohagakure at this time. Shihouin Naraku knew without thinking that Akatsuki would definitely focus on him next, so he let them investigate. After returning to Konoha Village, Shihouin Naraku came to the Hokage building with some evil intentions. Cough cough cough. What? You met the village's traitor Nin, Uchiha Itachi. You almost killed him. Sarutobi Hiruzen was originally listening to Shihouin Naraku's report rather nonchalantly, with a pipe in his mouth, not paying much attention. But then Shihouin Naraku's words shocked him greatly. It wasn't that bad. Uchiha Itachi was still quite capable. In the end, I only injured him and let him escape. Shihouin Naraku spread his hands and said in a very serious manner, but his companion, the S-rank rebel ninja from Kurigakure, did die in my hands. Seeing that they were wearing the same coat, they should be from the same organization. If possible, I am ready to take the Anbu members to hunt down Uchiha Itachi. Ahem. No need. Don't be so impulsive next time you run into Uchiha Itachi. Sarutobi Hiruzen was really shocked. Uchiha Itachi was only a traitor ninja on the surface, but actually he was a spy sent by Konoha Village. So except for the beginning, Konoha Village never sent out anyone to hunt down Uchiha Itachi. Sarutobi Hiruzen picked up his pipe again, thought carefully and said, Uchiha Itachi is a spy for the village. If you encounter him outside, you don't have to fight to the death. Also, don't let this be revealed. Write down the codes and gestures I give you. If necessary, you can use them to gain Uchiha Itachi's trust and obtain information from him. Shihouin Naraku was stunned. He didn't expect that he just had some bad taste and came to scare the third-generation old man, but he got other things in the end. Oh, it could also be that Sarutobi Hiruzen was worried that the next time he met Uchiha Itachi, he would draw his sword and kill him, so he set up an ambush in advance to avoid any accidents. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Shihouin Naraku and shook his head helplessly. Whether in the village or outside, you never stop. Naruto and those kids just became genin, why did you act so cruelly? Even if it was for their own good, there was no need to scare the kids who haven't recovered yet. Speaking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen had a look of complaint on his face. He had just comforted and encouraged those children as a kind old grandfather, and the effect was quite good. Except for Naruto and a few others, those who were originally affected by Conqueror's Haki and became listless, really returned to normal with the encouragement of Sarutobi Hiruzen. From this point of view, Sarutobi Hiruzen did a very good job as Hokage. Shihouin Naraku curled his lips and didn't care about Sarutobi Hiruzen's words at all. He was able to scare that group of genin with Sarutobi Hiruzen's tacit approval. Although the blow was a bit heavy this time, as long as they recover, it will only be beneficial to their future development. Sarutobi Hiruzen continued, puffing on his pipe, there is one thing I need you to do. This year's Chunin examination is not long away. You will be in charge of all matters related to the Chunin examination. You know that nobles and daimyo from various countries will also come to watch the ceremony, so don't make any mistakes. Let's start the preliminary preparations now. Once you have finalized the details, report to me. Ding. Host becomes the Konohagakure Chunin exam supervisor. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to host for winning 2 draws. The remaining draws are 6. Closing square bracket. Note: this host appointment is a temporary horizontal transfer and does not count as a promotion, so the reward eligibility is fixed at 2 times. Closing square bracket. Friendly reminder: it is more likely to get magical items when you draw 10 times in a row. Closing square bracket. Konoha's collapse plan is finally coming. Shihouin Naraku nodded thoughtfully and agreed. After leaving the Hokage building, he suddenly remembered something. I almost ignored the system's prompt. But I've only accumulated 6 draws. Next I have to find a way to get 10 draws in a row. It just so happens that there is a position for the Chunin examination supervisor this time. There are 5 opportunities to appoint myself each year, and the remaining 3 times will definitely be enough. Shihouin Naraku was happy thinking that his strength would be improved. Even though the Konoha collapse plan was nothing with his current strength, the enemies he would face in the future would be even stronger and he could not take it lightly. Thinking about this appointment, Shihouin Naraku realized that Sarutobi Hiruzen had not given up on making him a candidate for Hokage. I hold the power of Anbu Captain General and Medical Director in my hands, and yet they let me be in charge of the Chunin exam. It seems that the 3rd-generation old man has not given up on training me. As for the Captain General of Anbu, generally speaking, when the new Hokage takes office, he will definitely replace Shihouin Naraku. After all, this position can only be held by the person the Hokage trusts the most. Even if Hitaki Kakashi really ascends to the position of Hokage, Shihouin Naraku would not be suitable to stay there because he would pose too much of a threat to Hitaki Kakashi. The 3rd-generation old man is just making preparations in advance. Hitaki Kakashi becomes Ninetales Jinchuriki's instructor, and also serves on the Jōnin class. In addition to being the temporary Anbu Captain General, I am always in charge of the medical department, and I am frequently involved in various management tasks of the village, such as the preparations for the Chunin exam this time. Tisk tisk tisk. Such a level of balance. All we can say is that after being the Hokage for many years, Sarutobi Hiruzen's methods have become perfect. In the following time, Shihouin Naraku handed over the specific matters of Anbu and the medical department to his subordinates, and he began to get busy with the Chunin examination. On the Anbu side, unless the task requires him to do it personally, Shihouin Naraku will hand over other complicated matters to the current Anbu Deputy Captain Tenzo. In order to take advantage of the system, he gave the post of logistics squad leader, which was originally set up for himself, to Yamanaka Yu. In the medical department, Shihouin Naraku did not resign from the position of director of the split team he had set up for himself, but instead promoted some members of his family to join the working group. Although there are not many people from the Shihouin clan, they all occupy good positions in the medical department. It is also because of the existence of these people that Shihouin Naraku runs the medical department like an iron barrel. Of course, in order to prevent an extreme situation like the Uchiha clan completely taking control of the Konoha police department, Shihouin Naraku would also exchange his resources with others to gain more benefits, as long as the benefits were equal and did not affect his power in the medical department. Chief, Yakushi Kabuto's whereabouts have been a little erratic recently. Although we haven't found out what he did yet, but Shihouin Naraku came to the medical department, and not long after he sat down and finished some work, Chunin, who worked in the corpse disposal team of the Shihouin clan, appeared in front of him. After listening to the report, Shihouin Naraku rubbed his fingers, thought for a while, and then ordered, "Haruzai, call Yakushi Kabuto. By the way, I have good news for you. Uncle Chunyuan will be back from the border guard unit soon." Shihouin Chunzai was stunned, and a smile appeared on his face that he couldn't suppress. "Thank you, Chief, thank you, Chief. Don't say such polite words. Uncle Chunyuan was implicated by me, which is why he stayed in the border troops for such a long time. Now everything is over." Yes. Chapter 70, Reasons, Resignation, and 10 Consecutive Draws. Shimura Danzo is indeed notorious in the ninja world. Initially, these things had nothing to do with Shihouin Naraku. At the beginning, Shihouin Naraku just wanted to rely on his talent to continuously enhance his strength, and preferably save his life in the dangerous environment of the ninja world. But suddenly, Shimura Danzo took a fancy to the talent that Shihouin Naraku gradually showed, and wanted to bring Naraku into the root organization and train him as his subordinate. The head of the Shihouin Naraku clan at that time was Shihouin Harumoto. As a longtime Jōnin, he knew too well how cruel the root organization was. The Shihouin clan finally had a genius after many years, and Shihouin Harumoto would never allow Naraku to be quietly pulled into the root organization by Shimura Danzo, with his life or death unknown. You must know that under Shimura Danzo's strict management, the ninjas from the major families who entered the root organization would only obey his orders forever under the constraints of the curse seal. The Shihouin Naraku was a small family with only one Jōnin, Shihouin Chunyuan. After his death, if no new Jōnin were born in the family and there was no strong person to protect it, the Shihouin clan might very likely disappear at any time. For the continuation of the family and the safety of Shihouin Naraku, Shihouin Chunyuan went against the powerful Shimura Danzo and approached Tsunade. At that time, Tsunade had no intention of accepting students because of the death of her brother and lover. She herself was living in a daze. Shihouin Harumoto used their previous family friendship and supported Tsunade's medical plan, and finally made Tsunade agree to accept Naraku as a member of the Hokage line. Of course, there was a lot of covert fighting involved. Although Shimura Danzo did not snatch Shihouin Naraku away, he forced Shihouin Chunyuan to become a member of the most dangerous war front between the Fire Kingdom and the Earth Kingdom at that time. After the war, he did not return to the village, but continued to guard the border of the Fire Kingdom. When Shihouin Harumoto left the village, he had already handed over the position of the head of the Shihouin clan to Shihouin Naraku, because he knew that there was a great possibility that he would not survive. Fortunately, Shihouin Naraku does have a talent for learning medical ninjutsu, and his value has gradually been revealed. After Tsunade left the village, he became the head of Konoha Village's medical emergency team. Needless to say, Shihouin Naraku's status became higher and higher, which meant that Shihouin Chunyuan was becoming safer and safer. As for why he was not transferred back to the village as soon as possible, it was mainly because when security was guaranteed, it would be easier for Shihouin Chunyuan on the border to accumulate merits and qualifications, and when he returned to the village, he could obtain a higher status and position with the help of Shihouin Naraku. The reason why Shihouin Chunyuan returned to the village now was mainly because Shihouin Naraku found that he was outside, and more people were being hacked more and more fiercely. If this continued, Shihouin Chunyuan might die outside. After all, Akatsuki's intelligence capabilities cannot be underestimated. Therefore, it is better to transfer him back quickly, take the opportunity to gain some credit in the Konoha collapse plan, and then take a high position after Tsunade becomes Hokage. While Shihouin Naraku was still thinking, Yakushi Kabuto appeared. Adult Naraku. Oh, you're here, is there anything you want to tell me? Seeing Shihouin Naraku's indifferent expression, Yakushi Kabuto said directly, Sir Naraku, I am ready to resign from the position of leader of the corpse disposal team. Well, it seems you have made your choice. That's all. Shihouin Naraku picked up the pen and signed the resignation letter handed over by Yakushi Kabuto. Seeing Yakushi Kabuto preparing to say goodbye and leave, Shihouin Naraku narrowed his eyes slightly and said, Your own choice, you have to bear the consequences. This is all I want to say. Yakushi Kabuto's back was covered in cold sweat. He could clearly feel the murderous intent in Shihouin Naraku's eyes, but he finally bowed respectfully, Thank you for your care over the years. Shihouin Naraku did not try to keep Yakushi Kabuto and let him go. He knew that he was going to work for Orochimaru, and Yakushi Kabuto also knew that he was going to work for Orochimaru. By the way, if we open a psychological clinic in the ninja world, we should make a fortune. These people are all mentally ill. Squeezing his chin, Shihouin Naraku suddenly had a strange idea. At this time, Yakushi Kabuto was in a confused state. He had not figured out what he wanted, so he left. None of this matters, Shihouin Naraku's words just now made the meaning very clear. He doesn't interfere with Yakushi Kabuto's choice, but next time he meets him, he will be ready to kill him. However, there was still a good thing about Yakushi Kabuto's departure. Shihouin Naraku directly appointed himself as the temporary leader of the corpse disposal team. Although he had a great influence in the medical department in the past and had always been the squad leader of the medical emergency team, and could also influence the corpse handling team and the animal training and rehabilitation team, he did not hold specific positions in these two institutions. Later he became deputy minister and minister, with real management power, but he also did not hold a specific position. Therefore, Shihouin Naraku is now also serving as the leader of the corpse disposal team and is still eligible for the reward. Really? Ding. Host becomes the leader of the corpse disposal team of the Konohagakure Medical Department. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Congratulations to Host for winning 2 prize draws. Currently, Host lottery qualification is 8 times. Closing square bracket. I'm only 2 draws away from saving enough for the next 10 draws. It's easy. Last time I was appointed as the logistics squad leader and the director of the disassembly team. This time, I was appointed as the squad leader of the corpse disposal team. That's 3 times. I have 2 more chances left. If I'm lucky, I can get 2 draws in the remaining 2 appointments, and I'll even have 2 more chances. Shihouin Naraku thought about this and decided to use both opportunities this year. It just so happened that he was in charge of the preparations for the Chunin exam, so this was a good opportunity. Although Orochimaru is no longer a problem for him now, and Shihouin Naraku can even be considered Orochimaru's nemesis, Shihouin Naraku's influence on the world is growing, and no one knows what will happen next. If the enemies come together, it will be a big disaster. Therefore, it is most important to improve your strength as soon as possible. Ding. Host becomes the head of Konohagakure Chunin exam logistics preparation. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Congratulations to Host for winning a lucky draw. Currently, host's lottery qualification is 9 times. Closing square bracket. Ding. Host becomes the class leader of the Konoha Chunin exam practice field. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Congratulations to host for winning a lucky draw. Currently, host's lottery qualification is 10 times. Closing square bracket. The system's notification sounded at the perfect moment, and at the same time, Shihouin Naraku had completed 10 consecutive draws. He can start his third 10-draw streak at any time. Chapter 71 Uchiha Itachi's new teammate. Damn. Shihouin Naraku almost couldn't hold back his curse. It turns out that the more you worry about something, the greater the chance of it happening. As expected, the last 2 appointments only gave him 2 reward qualifications, and he almost couldn't make 10 consecutive draws. Although there is a chance that I will be eligible for a reward randomly, this is too much of a coincidence. System, are you deliberately trying to cheat me out of my reward qualification? Scratching his head, Shihouin Naraku took the opportunity to blame the system, hoping to find a few more chances. However, the system had no intention of paying any attention to him, so it seemed hopeless. Subscribe to Chinese novel audio wave. What are you talking about, Naraku? Mitarashi Anko came over, while Shiranui Genma, Morino Ibiki, Kamatsuki Izumo and others beside him said goodbye and left. This is when Shihouin Naraku decided on the examiners and other candidates for the Chunin exam, reported to Sarutobi Hiruzen, and after getting his approval, he called everyone to a meeting to assign tasks. The location of the examination has been determined. Except for the initial examination in the classroom, the venues of the other 2 rounds of competition need to be inspected on site by the examiners and their subordinates. For example, whether the venue needs renovation, and whether there are any ferocious beasts that have suddenly grown up in the Death Forest. Training ground number 44. In the examination for Genin's promotion to Chunin, there naturally cannot be any beasts that are too outrageous, and the examiners need to eliminate them. Shihouin Naraku glanced at the somewhat overly lively Mitarashi Anko and said, "You are also an examiner this time. You look a bit like a Jōnin." Mitarashi Anko blinked, he. Do you want me to eliminate them all in the second round? You can try and see if the 3rd generation will slap you to death. Cut. Mitarashi Anko curled her lips and said without caring at all, "Why is there such a big fuss about this Chunin exam? Even a senior executive like you is responsible for the preliminary preparations." Barring unexpected circumstances, Konoha Village generally holds 2 Chunin exams each year, and with so much experience gained over time, it stands to reason that high-level people at the level of Shihouin Naraku shouldn't be needed. Don't worry about it, just be your examiner honestly. The second round of the exam will be held at Practice Field No. 44. You will lead your team to carefully explore the interior of the Death Forest and make sure there are no mistakes. Leave it to me, and don't worry. With a proud wave of his hand, Mitarashi Anko took his subordinates to patrol the Death Forest. The land of rain, the base of Akatsuki. Konan joined Scorpion and Deidara to bring Uchiha Itachi back to the base. Tendo Pain, Konan, Zetsu and Uchiha Obito gathered together and started a meeting in the land of rain. Under the dim light, Tendo Pain, Konan and Uchiha Obito sat opposite each other, while Ju stood in the dark, hiding his tracks. Tiandao Pain asked first, "Z, what are the results of your investigation?" White Zetsu has already gone to investigate. According to the location provided by Uchiha Itachi, they did find traces of a battle. Fire style, water style, and hidden weapons scattered around. It is confirmed that Hoshigaki Kisame is dead and the ring is also destroyed. Ju told everyone present the information he had summarized from the investigation without hiding anything. Konan added, "Although I don't trust Uchiha Itachi, he looks like he has just been through a dangerous battle. Not only did he consume a lot of chakra, but his pupil power was also severely depleted. He didn't even open his eyes during the entire journey. He's not lying." White Zetsu, pretending to be Uchiha Obito, said, "I've seen it. That state is obviously the appearance of excessive consumption of pupil power. If it weren't for encountering a difficult enemy, Uchiha Itachi would not be in this state with his strength." Tendo Pain was silent for a long time, then continued to ask, "How is the intelligence on Shihouin Naraku going?" Zetsu replied, "It's not much different from what I collected before, except that there seemed to be a disturbance in Konoha Village some time ago. It was said to be caused by a fight between Shihouin Naraku, Hitaki Kakashi, and Might Guy. We also found out that the former head of the Shihouin clan, Shihouin Harumoto, was stationed at the border of the Fire Country. But before we could make any move, Shihouin Naraku seemed to have noticed something and transferred Shihouin Harumoto back to Konoha Village." After listening to this information, Tendo Pain glanced at Uchiha Obito, who was a little quiet today, and said, "The investigation of Shihouin Naraku cannot be ended. We must find out his strength as soon as possible. And why did he attack the members of the organization? Did he discover something, or was it really just a coincidence? If he really discovered some information, will it affect our plan? If he really has an impact, then eradicate him." Uchiha Obito then said, "These things can be left to Zetsu to find out, but our plan cannot be stopped. Hoshigaki Kisame is dead, and we need to choose new teammates for Uchiha Itachi. Do you have any candidates?" Tendo Pain and Konan have not had time to think about this matter. Uchiha Itachi needs to recuperate now, but he still has to perform various tasks after he recovers, so new teammates must prepare in advance. The Akatsuki organization has two-person teams, one for increasing the success rate of the mission, and the other for allowing team members to supervise each other to prevent betrayal of the organization. Especially Uchiha Itachi, Nagato and Konan didn't trust him very much to begin with. After looking at each other, Tendo Pain and Konan really couldn't think of a suitable candidate for a moment. First of all, your strength cannot be too low to prevent yourself from dying during the mission. Another thing is that you can't have too close a relationship with Uchiha Itachi, otherwise your supervision will not be effective. Let me recommend one person, no, two people. Uchiha Obito stated his proposal, the traitorous ninja of Kurigakure, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, and the current wielder of the beheading sword, Momochi Zabuza. And his subordinate, the user of ice release Kekkei Genkei, by the 7 ninja swordsmen again. Konan and Nagato, who was hiding behind, were also a little stunned by this suggestion. You know, Uchiha Itachi's first teammate after joining the Akatsuki organization was Biwa Juzo, the user of the beheading sword. After Biwa Juzo's death, Hoshigaki Kisame became Uchiha Itachi's second teammate, carrying the sword Samahata. Now that Hoshigaki Kisame is dead, Uchiha Obito recommended another member of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Momochi Zabuza. All 3 of Uchiha Itachi's teammates are from the 7 ninja swordsmen. Konan blinked and asked a key question, how strong is Zabuza Momochi? The missions that Akatsuki needs to complete are very dangerous. If the strength is too weak and a newly made teammate of Uchiha Itachi dies in the mission, they will have to find new teammates. Not bad, although not as good as the strong ones in the organization. But his assassination ability is very strong. With further training, he should become a good tool. The key is his subordinate Bai, who possesses the ice release Kekkei Genkei. The ice release Kekkei Genkei is very useful to us. Once the later plans start, it will be of great help to us. However, the problem remains. The strength is a little weak and it will take time and effort to cultivate it. In that case, Tendo Pain nodded in agreement and decided that these were the 2 people. If Momochi Zabuza disagrees, kill him. Bring back the man with the ice release Kekkei Genkei. He's very useful. Konan also said, it just so happens that Uchiha Itachi needs to recuperate during this period. After bringing these 2 back, they can be trained for a period of time to strengthen their strength. That's it. Chapter 72 New members of Akatsuki, Zabuza Momochi, Hiku. Uchiha Obito stood up, and the space around him gradually distorted, sucking him in. Ju also sank into the ground in silence and disappeared. Pain, I still don't believe Madara. I don't trust him either. As long as he shows a flaw, I will kill him. At this stage, he is still useful to their plan. Tendo Pain said these ruthless words, but for the sake of his plan he could temporarily tolerate the mysterious Uchiha Madara. Konan stopped talking, all she could do was silently support and help Nagato realize his plan. Meanwhile, in the dark, White Zetsu, disguised as Uchiha Obito, joins Black Zetsu. Well, my performance was successful, wasn't it? Seeing White Zetsu's boastful look, Black Zetsu still kept a sullen face. You talk too much. Be careful next time. Don't go back to Kurigakure yet. You have maintained good control over the 4th Mizukage Yagura during this period. Let's go find him, Momochi Zabuza, and bring him into the Akatsuki organization first. Black Zetsu then came to the base alone and looked at Uchiha Obito, who was connected to the Geto statue. It looks like it's almost done. The Land of Waves is a rather peculiar country in the ninja world, because there are no ninjas in this country. The main reason is that the economy here is poor and there are no resources to train ninjas. Of course, the most crucial point is that a super-rich man named Cardo controlled all external maritime traffic of the Wave Country, making the Wave Country even more impoverished. At the same time, he hired a large number of ruffians and high-level ninjas to maintain his rule here, making it impossible for the Wave Country to resist. Shua. The space twisted, and Uchiha Obito's figure suddenly appeared. He glanced at the luxurious residence in front of him. At the same time, Zetsu also crawled out from underground. The residence of Kato is in front. He hired Momochi Zabuza to maintain his rule here. Kill him later. This guy has a lot of money, which is just enough to supplement the finances of Akatsuki. Leave it to me. Although White Zetsu Ian's disguise as Uchiha Obito is not as good as the real person, he is enough to handle the current battle. After all, the ability of Mangekyo Sharingan is indeed powerful, especially Uchiha Obito's Kamui. Ordinary ninjas are no match for him at all. Go ahead. Uchiha Obito, wearing a mask, jumped down from the tree and entered Kato's residence. Boom. Soon, a burst of fire and smoke filled the air amid the explosion. The sound of fighting also rang out, and the chaotic footsteps accompanied by the smell of blood slowly drifted towards the outside world. Before long, the sounds of fighting and screaming gradually subsided. At this moment, a thick fog suddenly enveloped the surroundings, and murderous aura was faintly permeated in the fog. Black Zetsu stood on the big tree, watching everything around him quietly. The battle began, and Zabuza Momochi suddenly appeared, wielding a beheading sword, and fully displaying his art of assassination. But Zabuza found that no matter how powerful or stealthy his attacks were, they did not harm the masked man at all. Even though his subordinate Baiyi appeared soon after, and his crystal ice escape technique flashed beautifully in the sunlight, the masked man ignored the restraint and damage of the ice escape technique. Water-style grand waterfall technique. The terrifying amount of water, tens of meters high, formed a roaring waterfall, rushing towards the masked man. The waves swept over, washing everything on the ground clean. What a terrifying water-style ninjutsu. The masked man laughed. The powerful water-style ninjutsu did not cause him any harm. How about giving you another chance to join our organization? Court death. Zabuza Momochi stared at the masked man with gloomy eyes, raised the beheading sword in his hand and pointed it at the enemy. Don't be an adult again. The pretty and handsome Bai came closer, a little nervous. He could see that the enemy was just playing with them and was not taking them seriously at all. Stop talking nonsense, Bai. If you find an opportunity later, don't worry about me, just do it. If you don't kill anyone, I'll be the bait. Shut up. Follow my orders. Yes. Momochi Zabuza and Shiro finished their discussion in a low voice, and the masked man standing opposite said with a smile, "Well, have you decided? What's your plan?" Court death. Zabuza Momochi snorted coldly and tightened the beheading sword in his hand. Master Zabuza, the other party has disappeared. Zabuza Momochi also discovered that the masked man had disappeared at some point. Before he could be alert, a black-gloved hand stretched out from the distorted space behind him and grabbed him. Snort. White. Bai seized the opportunity and swung his hand casually. Countless fine needles flashing with cold light pierced the masked man who appeared. Then he began to make seals with his other hand, preparing to launch the ice escape secret technique. Momochi Zabuza grabbed the beheading sword and slashed it suddenly towards the back. If the masked man dared to continue attacking, he would definitely die first. However, whether it was Bai's hidden weapon attack or Momochi Zabuza's beheading sword, they still passed through the masked man's body without causing any damage. Bang! Don't be an adult again. After a long time, Zabuza Momochi was lying on the ground covered in blood. Bai was busy bandaging him regardless of his injuries. I said you would agree. So, I was right, wasn't I? He. Zabuza Momochi looked up at the masked man weakly and said nothing. Black Zetsu staggered out from underground and said in a deep voice, Zabuza Momochi, the Akatsuki organization is more powerful than you can imagine. With your strength, you are not qualified to join. After you join the organization, both of you will need to continue to practice and train for a period of time before you are qualified to work for the organization. Since you've lost, you can only listen to what the other party says. With this, Zabuza Momochi and Haku joined the Akatsuki organization. At the same time, the super-rich man Cardo died, and all his accumulated money was taken back to the Akatsuki organization by Zetsu. Soon the civilians of the Wave Kingdom also discovered Cardo's death, but before they could be happy, the gangsters originally recruited by Cardo began stealing and robbing everywhere. Riots broke out one after another, making the Wave Kingdom a mess. It's even more miserable than when Cardo was here. The bridge, which was originally built to break Cardo's blockade of the Wave Country, has now come to a standstill. Alas, I thought our lives would get better after Cardo died. Who knew? Those gangsters were also recruited by Cardo. Why did you kill the people from Cardo but not these hooligans? No, we can't go on like this. The casualties are getting more and more serious. In the past, as long as we didn't build the bridge, Cardo wouldn't kill people easily. He still needed us to work for him and make money for him. But now these people don't care about anything. Let's pool our money together. Go get some ninjas to help us clean up these thugs. Where are we going? Kurigakure. I don't dare go there. No fisherman who went there would ever come back. No, go to Konoha Village to post the mission and ask the ninja to come. They have better credibility. But going to Konoha Village to post a mission requires too much money. Even if we pool our money together, it won't be enough. Then what do you say we should do? Chapter 73 Think about how to force Kakashi to death. The prestigious civilians of the Wave Kingdom gathered together and argued heatedly, and they had not decided on a plan for a long time. Hiccup. An old man took a sip of wine, burped for a long time, slammed the bottle on the table and said, "Everyone gather together the money and give it to me. I will go to Konoha Village to issue the mission." Dazna. Okay, I'll feel more at ease leaving it to Dazna. Dazna, the future of Wave Country is in your hands. Soon, the civilians of the Wave Kingdom gathered up their limited wealth, gave it to Dazna, and secretly sent him to the Fire Kingdom. Dazna moved towards Konoha Village step by step. On the other hand, Uzumaki Naruto and others who had been trained by Shihouin Naraku became much calmer, and under the leadership of Hitaki Kakashi, they gradually consolidated their foundation. It's time to give them some difficult tasks. Hitaki Kakashi was very satisfied with the growth of Uzumaki, Naruto and the other two, and decided to reward them once by selecting a more difficult task to complete. Shihouin Harumoto finally returned to Konohagakure after many years. In fact, this is not quite accurate. When he was stationed at the border, he could occasionally go back to the village during the rest period, but he could basically only stay for a period of time before returning to the border. This time the situation is completely different. As soon as Shihouin Chunyuan returned, he was received by the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, who praised his contributions to the Fire Country and Konoha Village in guarding the border over the years. Then Shihouin Chunyuan was appointed as the Konoha Village Chunin examination supervisor. Everyone knew what was going on, and Shihouin Naraku took the initiative to resign from his position as director. Unless someone volunteered, no one in Konoha Village could easily change Shihouin Naraku's position. Even if third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen persuades Shihouin Naraku to resign, he will offer other positions in exchange. That night, in the Shihouin clan's territory. The Shihouin clan's home, with its bright lights, seems particularly cheerful and lively today. The adults were sitting at the banquet in the room, toasting each other with smiles on their faces, and sounds of celebration could be heard from time to time amidst their casual chat. The children were running happily and wantonly in the tribe land with delicious food in their hands. No one would blame them for making noise today, so the little kids were having a lot of fun. At this time, there were two figures standing under the eaves nearby. They were chatting leisurely and no one came forward to disturb them. Because one of them is Shihouin Chunyuan, the previous patriarch of the Shihouin family. The other is Shihouin Naraku, the current head of the Shihouin clan. After seeing all this, I know that my original choice was the right one. Naraku, you are indeed the hope of our Shihouin clan. Shihouin Chunyuan looks a little old, his short black hair looks like a mixture of black and white, and there are more wrinkles on his face. Guarding the border for many years has taken a toll on him. Uncle Chunyuan has worked so hard for so many years. If it weren't for... Shihouin Chunyuan waved his hand and said, everything is for the family. Besides, apart from the beginning, your position has been consolidated and my treatment is actually very good. Shaking his head slightly, Naraku knew that for the older generation like Shihouin Chunyuan, the prosperity of the family was more important than anything else, even sacrificing himself for it was not a problem. Naraku, how can you give me the position of Chunin examination supervisor? Shihouin Chunyuan whispered, I am old now, your future is the key. I will go to the third Hokage tomorrow and tell him that I have just returned to the village and am not familiar with its developments. You are the right person to be the supervisor. No need, Uncle Chunyuan, I'm glad you're back, there are some things I need to tell you. Naraku winked, and went into the house with Shihouin Nai Chunyuan, sat down and began to chat in low voices. The third Hokage said some time ago. Hitaki Kakashi and I. What? Hokage? Shihouin Chunyuan's old eyes widened instantly, with excitement flashing in his pupils. He stood up and paced back and forth in the room. It took me a long time to calm down. There is no other way. If someone from the Shihouin clan could really become Hokage, it would be a great honor for the family. If this could be accomplished, Shihouin Chunyuan would be willing to die at the next moment. Let me think, let me think. The family has accumulated a lot of funds over the years, and this time we're going to take it all out. It's best to spread the word about the relationship between the Shihouin and Senju clans during the Sengoku era. We are the most legitimate descendants of the Hokage. It's a pity that Master Tsunade is not in the village, otherwise many things would be much easier. Although I've been away from the village for many years, my old connections are still there, and I'm going to mobilize them this time. Just now Naraku, you said that your opponent was only Hitaki Kakashi. If that's the case, Shihouin Chunyuan pinched his chin, his eyes flashing coldly, I personally witnessed Hitaki Sakumo's suicide. The failure of that mission caused great losses to the Land of Fire and Konoha Village. Next, I will let the whole village recall this incident and expose all the dirt on Hitaki Sakumo. Let everyone know that the Hitaki family cannot be trusted. Although Danzo is not a good guy, his plan to force Hitaki Sakumo to commit suicide is a good one. Even if we can't force Hitaki Kakashi to death this time, we will make sure that he is surrounded by scandals and has no right to compete with you. By the way, when the fourth Hokage died unexpectedly, was Hitaki Kakashi negligent in any way? Naraku, you've been in the village for a long time, have you collected any dirt on him? Shihouin Naraku really gave Uncle Chunyuan a thumbs up. Although I can understand the temptation of the Hokage position, Shihouin Harumoto's reaction is really outrageous. He didn't have time to stop it, and the other party even planned how to kill Hitaki Kakashi. As expected, he was the only Jōnin of the Shihouin clan back then. Uncle Chunyuan, wait a minute, I'm not ready to become Hokage right now. If he doesn't speak up, Shihouin Naraku is worried that Shihouin Harumoto will make a plan to assassinate 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. I know you definitely want to become Hokage, but our plan still requires, Shihouin Chunyuan's mind was working so fast that he didn't hear Naraku's words clearly. It took him a while to react. What did you say? I said, I don't want to be Hokage yet. Shihouin Naraku pulled Shihouin Chunyuan, who was so excited that he almost jumped up, to explain. Of course, he didn't say anything about the system. Mainly, Shihouin Chunyuan muttered to himself, Tsunade, it's not bad for Master Tsunade to become Hokage. But it's still not as good as someone from our family becoming Hokage. After great efforts, Shihouin Naraku finally convinced Shihouin Chunyuan. Well, since you've made up your mind, Naraku, let's do it. Shihouin Chunyuan gave up the series of plans he had just made with some dismay, but then his eyes lit up and he whispered, Naraku, even if you don't want to now, you must become Hokage in the future. I can contact some small families in the village privately. Although these small families are not strong, they are quite powerful when united. They can even serve as your subordinates when you become Hokage. Alas, there are too few people we can use in the Shihouin family. That's fine, but Uncle Chun Yuan, please keep it a secret. Don't worry. Chapter 74 The Third 10-Draw Streak. Shihouin Chunzai watched his father go back to the house in a depressed mood and felt a little strange. Why did he still have the same expression even after returning to the village? Father, you went to chat with the patriarch, what happened? It's none of your business. Go to sleep. Shihouin Chunyuan put his hands behind his back and scolded in a bad mood. Shihouin Chunzai opened his mouth speechlessly, not knowing what to say, so he could only go back to his room and sleep in frustration. Shihouin Chunyuan, who was full of worries, lay down to rest, but he couldn't fall asleep for a long time. This time when he returned to the village, Naraku brought him such a big surprise that he would not be able to calm down so quickly. And Shihouin Naraku, who was in his room, was also helpless. It took him a lot of effort to persuade the other party to accept his idea. That's all. What Shihouin Naraku is worried about is that Shihouin Chunyuan will find out about the Hokage candidates from others, and then take action on his own and mess up his own plans. The next step is to conduct the third 10-draw series. A quiet night, perfect for a lucky draw. Shihouin Naraku, who had accumulated 10 consecutive draws, said directly, "System, start the draw." Ding. Do you want to start the third 10-draw bonus? Closing square bracket. Open. As soon as he finished speaking, a familiar turntable appeared in his mind, and the pointer spun rapidly, passing by rewards that were enough to drive people crazy. Even though this scene was familiar, Shihouin Naraku still felt a little nervous. To be honest, his strength is already at the top of the ninja world. Except for a few people, Shihouin Naraku is really not afraid of any enemy if he knows the plot. The problem is the threat posed to him by a few people, such as members of the Otsutsuki clan. After changing a lot of the plot, Shihouin Naraku really can't guarantee that the future will be in his hands. Therefore, the breakthrough and growth of strength is what he cares most about. The position of Hokage is just a stepping stone for him to grow in strength, not the ultimate goal. Question mark. Ding. The lucky draw is complete. Congratulations to host for receiving the following rewards. Question mark. 1. One-tail Shukaku Chakra 1000th. Question mark. 2. Lightning Style Kirin. Question mark. 3. Wind Style Suppression. Question mark. 4. Conqueror's Haki can be fused. 5. Limited edition of Intimate Paradise Jiraiya Signed Edition. Closing square bracket. 6. Super delicious rice balls, expired, inedible, forcing yourself to eat them will cause diarrhea for 3 days. Closing square bracket. 7. 1,000 pounds of perfectly cooked sea king's meat, a specialty of the pirate's world, recommended to be eaten before physical training. It will have special effects and can be used at any time. Closing square bracket. Question mark. 8. Black knife Chu Shui. Question mark. 9. Heart is strengthened by 10%. Question mark. 10. Zanpakudo God's Punishment. The moment the 10 consecutive draws ended, Shihouin Naraku left Konoha Village in an instant at a speed invisible to the naked eye, without anyone noticing. Swish. A group of Anbu personnel are patrolling Konoha Village at night. Their mission is to prevent enemy raids and sudden outbreaks of danger. What's wrong? Didn't you notice? There was a gust of wind just now. The Anbu patrol officers immediately became alert, turned on their full senses, and searched for any movement nearby. One of the ninjas from the Hyuga branch house immediately opened his Byakugan and scanned the surroundings. But after searching for a long time, there was no movement at all. Konoha Village was still very quiet late at night. At this time, another gust of wind blew, and the leaves of the surrounding woods were rustling. The Anbu patrol officers finally felt relieved. However, no one blamed the companion who had just discovered something was wrong. This was the inspector's job, and they could not let go of any suspicious issues. Crack. Shihouin Naraku, who had been running very fast for a long time, finally stopped. He grabbed the huge rock next to him with his right hand and crushed it to pieces. Call. Shihouin Naraku let out a long breath and gently pressed his left hand on his heart, feeling the stronger beating of his heart than ever before. At the same time, he could clearly hear the sound of blood flowing in his veins. This is too exciting. Holding his rapidly beating heart, Shihouin Naraku's handsome face had now turned red, and his palms were trembling slightly. Ding. Host, do you want to absorb one-tail Shukaku chakra? Closing square bracket. Ding. Did the host fuse the conqueror's haki? Closing square bracket. Wait, let me slow down. My heart suddenly became too strong, I can't handle it. Shihouin Naraku stopped the system's plan, slowly sat down cross-legged, and calmed his heart that was beating like a drum. Bang, bang, bang. As the surroundings fell into silence, Shihouin Naraku's heartbeat even began to affect everything in the outside world. The fallen leaves covering the ground trembled slightly, the lush trees in the forest swayed gently, the water in the stream not far away gurgled with the rhythm, and the small animals that had fallen asleep late at night were involuntarily affected by some kind of breath, and they woke up instantly and became restless. As time passed, Shihouin Naraku, who was sitting cross-legged, seemed to blend into nature, and everything around him gradually became peaceful and tranquil. Call. Shihouin Naraku's eyelids trembled and he slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, the peaceful atmosphere was broken, and Shihouin Naraku seemed to come back to life. That feeling just now, it's a bit strange, a bit familiar, and a bit dangerous. Wait, could that be natural energy drilling into my body? Fortunately, I didn't absorb it rashly, otherwise it would be dangerous. Shihouin Naraku gently stroked his heart, and breathed a sigh of relief when he felt that the heartbeat had finally returned to its normal rhythm. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. That's not right. It's beating more powerfully than before. I really made a lot of money this time. Shihouin Naraku clenched his fists, feeling his increased strength. The strengthening of my heart has not only improved my physical fitness, but I also feel that even my observation haki and conqueror's haki have been strengthened. I can even feel that my understanding of swordsmanship has reached a higher level. The key is that ordinary training and exercise can only strengthen the external body at most, while the internal organs are still weak. But it's different for me. Strengthening the heart will also improve the physical fitness. Shihouin Naraku also clearly saw the attribute table listed for him by the system, and his physical fitness was also improved to S+. System, will it be dangerous if I absorb the remaining chakra and one-tail Shukaku's chakra now? No. The host's physique is enough to bear all the chakras. Closing square bracket. Come on then, give me all the chakra. Ding. Do you want to start chakra infusion? Closing square bracket. Open. Boom. A hurricane arose with Shihouin Naraku as its center, blowing away the surrounding fallen leaves, wood chips and debris, and crushing many tall trees. But this time, maybe because Shihouin Naraku's physique has been enhanced and the chakra has been integrated smoothly, the outbreak didn't last long. Go ahead, get this over with once and for all, Conqueror's Haki Fusion. Ding. Do you want to start fusing Conqueror's Haki? Fusion. Boom. The originally clear night sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds. Thunder flashed in the clouds, electric snakes kept shuttling back and forth, and bolts of lightning suddenly struck the earth. The hurricane that had just dissipated arose again, and the wind force increased rapidly, spreading out like a roaring wave. Chapter 75 Akalanatha. Boom. A flash of lightning passed by, illuminating the darkness as if it were day. A huge roar resounded between heaven and earth, awakening countless lives. The power of heaven and earth is so strong that it makes people feel terrified. After a long time, all this gradually dissipated and the surroundings returned to peace again. Shihouin Naraku sat on a huge rock, with red lightning flashing between his eyes. However, he still had an aura of terror that was hard to look directly at, and it would take some time for this aura to subside. This is a bit too much. Anyone can tell that something is wrong with me. After thinking for a while, Shihouin Naraku put his right hand on his waist, and Zanpakuto appeared and was unsheathed with a clang. In that case, let's practice swordsmanship. That should help us to control our aura. In this way, Shihouin Naraku held the Kurakara in his hand and began to practice swordsmanship seriously in the quiet forest. And in some unknown corners, all kinds of small animals in the forest have been completely unable to sleep and are packing up and moving overnight, including birds, beasts, insects and ants. No one can stand the loud noises that keep coming one after another all night long. How can people sleep? Staying up late can lead to sudden death. The lives of animals are also lives. Move. Must move. It took Shihouin Naraku a whole night to calm down his surging momentum. Isn't this the valley of the end? After daybreak, Shihouin Naraku realized that after running around all night, he had actually run to the valley of the end. No wonder he made such a big noise at night and no one else showed up. The sun will be out soon, let's go back to the village first, in case someone comes looking for us. Having made up his mind, Shihouin Naraku quickly returned to Konoha Village. At this time, Konoha Village had not yet woken up from its night's sleep, and the village was quiet. He returned to the Shihouin clan quietly and entered his room. Before he could rest for long, Shihouin Chunyuan came to his door. Naraku, I was thinking about you all night yesterday. Shihouin Chunyuan stared at Shihouin Naraku for a long time, then hesitated and said, is it my illusion? Why do I feel that your temperament, no, your aura has changed in just one night? Naraku, what did you do last night? Shihouin Naraku yawned and said, I didn't do anything, I just slept normally, but I didn't sleep well. If Uncle Chunyuan is okay, I'll take a nap. Didn't you sleep well? Then you should rest quickly and don't delay your work. Shihouin Chunyuan asked Naraku to go back and rest, and turned to leave. However, halfway through, he remembered that he still had something to find the other party. Forget it, we'll talk about it later. Watching Uncle Chunyuan leave, Shihouin Naraku returned to the room, took off his Zanpakuto Kurigara and placed it on the table. System, take out both knives you drew this time. Bang, bang, 2 knives materialized in front of Shihouin Naraku. Black Knife Chu Shui. The Black Sword Shisui is a famous sword in the pirates' world, ranked among the 21st great swords. Its former owners were the dragon-slaying swordsman Ryuma and the protagonist group's fighter, the three-sword swordsman Zoro. This knife has a black and purple blade with a tight texture and is extremely tough. It is heavier than a normal sword. Zanpakuto God's Punishment. This is the Zanpakuto of the Shinigami world. Benkai's ability is to summon a huge black armored warrior like a giant. It has very powerful combat power, but the owner will also bear the damage. To put it simply, it summons a Susanoo, but it is not as powerful as Susanoo, and has the disadvantage of having to take damage. Shihouin Naraku's palm brushed over the 2 knives, and then said directly, come on, Kurikara, swallow these 2 knives. The Kurikara sword placed on the table was suddenly unsheathed, and a rotating black hole appeared on the black blade. Crack! The black blade Chu Shui and Zanpakuto Tien Zheng trembled for a while, and then were directly pulled into the black hole of the Kurikara blade by an invisible attraction, followed by a sharp sound of shattering. In the blink of an eye, the 2 famous swords with powerful powers were completely crushed and absorbed by Kurikara. After a while, the rotating black hole on the black sword of Kurikara disappeared little by little, returning to its normal appearance. Shihouin Naraku stood up and walked around Kurikara, but didn't find anything different from before. The scabbard and Kurikara were placed separately on the table, motionless. Is this the end? There's no change in me. Maybe it's the knife. As soon as he finished speaking, Shihouin Naraku reached out and grasped the hilt of Kurikara's sword, slowly lifting Zanpakuto up. Wow! How did it suddenly become so heavy? Shihouin Naraku tentatively held the weight in one hand and waved it casually, feeling the weight of Zanpakuto. This feeling, even if it's not 800 kilograms, it's not much different. System, how much does Kurikara weigh now? Kurikara weighs 522 kilograms, 1044 pounds. Closing square bracket. This number seems to have some meaning. By the way, what new abilities does Kurigara have? Kurikara has a new feature called Indestructible, which means that no damage will occur no matter what. Awakening Zanpakuto's ability, the souls of those injured by Kurikara will also be damaged simultaneously. Awaken the Akala statue. The host holds the Kurikara in his hand and can condense a giant Akala statue. This consumes physical strength, chakra, and spirit. Closing square bracket. These 3 abilities are great, and they are all very useful. After the first one, we won't have to worry about Kurikara being damaged by any special abilities. The second ability, Zanpakuto, seems to be a characteristic that the original Zanpakuto possesses, specializing in cutting souls. It's a pity that it awakened a little late, otherwise the previous battle would have been brilliant. The third ability, Isn't This My Susanoo? It looks like it's more powerful than I could imagine. Shihouin Naraku is very satisfied with the increase in strength this time, and this improvement is not over yet. He always feels that these rewards are still worth exploring. Just like the last draw, after having the observation haki, he awakened the Conqueror's haki himself, and there must be the same hidden benefits this time. It's like one-tail Shukaku's chakra. It always feels like it's not that simple. It just increases my chakra amount. System, open my attribute panel. Take a look at the changes this time. Name, Shihouin Naraku. Question mark. Gender, male. Age, 26. Escape technique, magnet style. Question mark. Constitution, S+. Spirit, X. Host spirit is undoubtedly the strongest in this world, and has reached its limit. Soul, Kurakara, Akala. Chakra control, S++. Chakra amount, S+++. More than 99% of the ninjas in the ninja world. Chakra attributes, fire, wind, thunder, water, earth, yin, yang. Shihouin Naraku looked at the attribute panel and saw that his mental attribute had become X, which meant that no one in the ninja world had a stronger mental state than him. It also means that no illusions can affect Shihouin Naraku anymore, and if Uchiha Itachi releases Tsukuyomi on him in the future, he won't even be able to shake his spirit and drag him into the illusion space. Chapter 76 Absenteeism. Shihouin Naraku shook Kurakara casually, then held the pitch-black blade upright in front of his eyes and looked at it carefully. A black dragon breathing fire seemed to be wandering on the pitch-black blade, looming, and occasionally one could only see its scales and claws flying. So handsome. But why can't I feel the weight now? At the beginning, I could still feel it was a bit heavy, but now it seems to have returned to the most suitable weight in the past. System. Kurakara's weight remains unchanged. As the host, Zanpakuto is in tune with the host and will always keep the weight that the host feels is appropriate, while he will bear the excess weight. Closing square bracket. Sharp. He casually made a sword flower and returned the Kuragala to its sheath. Shihouin Naraku continued to look at his attribute panel, muttering to himself. My physique, chakra volume, and control have all increased, but why are there so many plus signs? It looks so troublesome. An extra magnet style. Where is this? Oh, it must be from one-tail Shukaku's chakra. As expected, I said Shukaku's chakra couldn't be that simple. Besides, I drew Shukaku's chakra this time. If I draw the chakra of other tailed beasts next time, and the next time after, and finally collect 1,000th of the chakra of all 9-tailed beasts, then wouldn't I become a mini 10-tails Jinchuriki? Shihouin Naraku shook his head slightly. For some reason, he always felt that his idea might actually come true. Kuragara devoured the black blade autumn water and Zanpakuto heavenly punishment. My soul was elevated again, and my spirit was directly promoted to the top level. My spiritual attributes have reached their limit. No one can be my opponent anymore. System, distinguished heavenly gods and infinite Tsukuyomi can't affect me. Host's spiritual attributes have reached the limit. No illusions can affect the host, including distinguished heavenly gods and infinite Tsukuyomi. For more benefits, please explore by yourself. Closing square bracket. That puts me at ease. The threat posed by infinite Tsukuyomi is indeed too great. Shihouin Naraku doesn't like to leave everything to others, and even if Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke really save the world, he won't just sit there and wait. After being reborn for many years, Shihouin Naraku realized that the ninja world is not an animation, but a real world. If he really regarded the ninja world as an illusion, he would have died long ago. The fate of Shihouin Naraku will only be in the hands of Shihouin Naraku. Ignoring the two ninjutsu that he had drawn as a reward, Shihouin Naraku looked speechlessly at the hardcover signed edition of Intimate Paradise and the spoiled rice ball in his hands. Why is there something completely useless like this in every lottery? With a flick of his hand, Shihouin Naraku threw Intimate Paradise and the rice ball into the trash can. But soon, he reached out and grabbed Intimate Paradise, flipped through a few pages, and felt it was uninteresting, so he had to put it away. This thing might still be useful. Jiraiya's books have many fans in the ninja world. Even though Jiraiya often cheats Uzumaki Naruto of his money, he himself can be said to be a super rich man. Jiraiya is the one who has completed the most S-ranked missions in Konoha Village, and the mission rewards alone are no less than 500 million or 600 million. Of course, the bulk of his assets still come from writing. Every time a book he writes is released, it will be sold out, and many people are his loyal fans. Jiraiya even helped Tsunade pay off his gambling debts several times. Looking at it this way, why be a ninja? The best profession in the ninja world is obviously a writer. What? Going to protect Uzumaki Naruto again? I have a lot to do. Anbu and the medical department need me. Besides. Bang. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen tapped his pipe and said nonchalantly, really? The Anbu people said you haven't been to work for 3 days, and the medical department said they haven't seen you for a day. Where have you been working? Cough. In fact, Shihouin Naraku has been absent from work for a week. There was no other way. The third 10-draw streak had just ended, and he had to master the increased strength as soon as possible, which would require spending time practicing. As a result, I completely forgot about going to work for a moment. Anyway, this work is neither too much nor too little. Basically most of the work can be pushed to the Hokage, otherwise why would the shadow clone be so exhausted that he almost collapsed after Uzumaki Naruto became the Hokage in the future? But some of the people in Anbu are disloyal. The medical department only dared to say that he was absent from work for 1 day, but they actually said it was 3 days. This is asking for trouble. It seems that we need to find an opportunity to clean up, reorganize the members of Anbu. After all, they are an elite ninja unit directly under the Hokage, so they cannot relax their training too much. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Shihouin Naraku's reluctance and gave the order directly. This is Naruto's first time to go out of the village to complete a mission. The mission in Wave Country is not difficult. It only requires cleaning up some ruffians and hooligans. This mission happens to be suitable for Naruto at this stage. But any unexpected situation could happen outside, and all you have to do is protect Naruto. This is your only mission. If a situation becomes difficult to handle, I allow you to abandon others and just bring Naruto back. Your mission won't be considered a failure if Naruto comes back. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave Shihouin Naraku a deep look, believing that the other understood what he meant. Confidence. Hitaki Kakashi. 2 Hokage candidates. Although he seems to have a prominent status, at the critical moment, he is not as important as Uzumaki Naruto, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. I understand. Leave it to me. But Kakashi is enough to handle most situations, so I shouldn't have to do anything. Shihouin Naraku didn't care much. What kind of difficult situation would happen? With his current strength, unless all members of Akatsuki organization are dispatched to block the door, plus the ignorant Black Zetsu and the foolish Uchiha Obito who doesn't know his own life or death, if these people fight him alone, that would be a situation that is difficult to deal with. However, there is no need to worry about this, because although the Akatsuki organization is invincible in team battles, they are not obsessed with giving away kills one by one, so extreme situations will not happen. Oh, right. Seeing Shihouin Naraku about to leave, Sarutobi Hiruzen still reminded him, be quiet this time when you go out. I've noticed that every time you make a move, you make a big noise. Also, if that bridge is really new. Shihouin Naraku waved his hand without even turning his head, not knowing whether he heard it clearly or not. Noon, at the Konohagakure gate. Oh, let's go. It's been a long time since I last had the chance to go out. This is great. Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno all faced the great gate of Daikiru. All 3 of them had smiles on their faces, even Uchiha Sasuke, who had his hands in his pockets, had a smile on his cool face. At the side was Dazna, the bridge-building expert from the Land of Waves, who was holding a bottle of wine and looking drunk to the point of being hard to conceal. He looked at Uzumaki, Naruto and the other 2 with a worried look on his face, not quite trusting that they could solve the current predicament of the Land of Waves. Don't worry, even though they are young, they are capable of completing the task. Hitaki Kakashi put one hand in his pocket and held Intimate Paradise in the other hand, turning a page from time to time. This time, because Cardo was dead, the mission was just to wipe out some small thugs, so Dasna issued the mission truthfully but slightly underestimated the number of enemies. Such a task is indeed suitable for the fledgling Uzumaki, Naruto and the other two. It is not difficult, but it also requires fighting. Such tasks can serve as great exercise. Chapter 77, Disappearance of Zabuza. Hitaki Kakashi walked calmly at the end of the ninja team, looked back, and then followed. He was naturally aware that someone was protecting him secretly. After all, it was normal for Konoha's super nuclear bomb to come out of the door, so it was normal to have any protection. The journey was very smooth at the beginning and there were no accidents, which surprised Hitaki Kakashi a little, but he soon realized that after all, the opponents were just some small thugs and this situation was normal. It was not until the group arrived at the border of the Fire Kingdom and were about to head to the Wave Kingdom that they encountered some ambushing enemies. These thugs were easily dealt with by Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke without Hitaki Kakashi having to take action. This trip looks more like a trip than a mission. Shihouin Naraku, who was hiding in the dark, was also a little puzzled. Logically, Zabuza Momochi should have come to attack, so why was there no sign of him yet? He was ready to watch the fun. After all, Zabuza was able to fight the 6th Hokage of Konoha Village and the copy ninja on equal terms, stepped on the Sage of Six Paths, Sun Indra, the reincarnated descendant of the Uchiha clan, crushed the Sage of Six Paths Ashura, the reincarnated descendant of the Uzumaki clan and the 7th Hokage of Konoha Village, and scared the 5th Hokage Tsunade, a student and inheritor of the 100 Healings. The next person to receive this treatment is the founder of the ninja world and super boss Otsutsuki Kagaya. When you think about it this way, Zabuza Momochi is almost the strongest in the ninja world. Of course, Shihouin Naraku doesn't know that Zabuza Momochi and Haku have, voluntarily, joined the Akatsuki organization, so they are still waiting for Zabuza's grand appearance. But until Hitaki Kakashi and his group arrived at the Land of Waves, Zabuza did not appear. Shihouin Naraku was even more confused as he watched Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke take out another wave of thugs, and even Haruno Sakura took out a few enemies. This number is not right. You two, go check the situation in the country of Chapo. Shihouin Naraku realized that something else must have happened in Wave Country and gave a direct order, and Anbu following him was sent out to collect intelligence. It looks like something happened to Zabuza. What could happen to him at this time? After all, he has the strength of a Jōnin, so he won't have any accidents in the Land of Waves. Unless, Shihouin Naraku stood on a big tree and looked out to the vast ocean, which was the direction of Kurigakure, the Land of Water. Could it be that Kurigakure really found Zabuza this time and captured him? That's impossible. We don't know whether Obito is alive or dead right now. He probably doesn't have the time to send people to hunt down Zabuza. Just when Shihouin Naraku felt something strange, the two Anbu ninjas sent out had returned with information. You mean there was a battle near Cardo's residence some time ago, and not only did Cardo die, but even Momochi Zabuza, who he hired, disappeared. Yes, all those who saw the battle were killed. The remaining gangsters were on the periphery and were not affected. They know very little, but they are sure that a battle did take place. These people have also seen the Kurigakure traitor Zabuza Momochi, and are certain that he was hired by Cardo. Sir, should we stop this mission? The Anbu ninja's meaning was very clear. The appearance of the traitor ninja from Kurigakure might have some hidden plan. If it was aimed at Nine Tails Jinchuriki, that would be a big problem. Need not. Shihouin Naraku thought about it, rejected his subordinate's proposal, and directly ordered, the area of this country is not large, you go out now to check the Land of Waves. Remember, only explore, don't touch those gangsters. Yes. Anbu's subordinates took orders and left quickly. Tisk, it seems that Momochi Zabuza is really not here. But who could it be? Could it be that the Kurigakure people really came to capture him, so the battle broke out? Seeing that the people who fought were also wiped out, this is barely the style of the Kurigakure ninja. At this time, Shihouin Naraku really didn't expect that the Akatsuki organization would appear and take away Momochi Zabuza and Haku. He subconsciously ignored the damage caused to Akatsuki during this period. At night, the moonlight is as cool as water. Clatter. A slight sound. The vigilant Hitaki Kakashi woke up immediately, sat up and rushed out of the room, but when he saw the figure standing in a hidden place outside, he relaxed. Yawning, Hitaki Kakashi walked forward and whispered, "It's so late, and you still have to wake me up, huh?" Seeing Hitaki Kakashi's sleepy face, Shihouin Naraku came out from his hiding place and said, "I sent someone to check the land of waves." Finding out it was serious business, Kakashi immediately perked up. There was a battle in Wave Country not long ago. At that time, the Kurigakure rebel ninja Momochi Zabuza appeared. But now it seems that the enemy has left here. Now there are only some small thugs and low-level ninjas in Wave Country. They are very weak, but there are a lot of them. When Kakashi heard the name of Momochi Zabuza, he was stunned for a moment, but he was relieved when he heard that the other party had left. He trusted Naraku very much, and since he said that Zabuza left, it must be the case. Besides, with Shihouin Naraku's strength, Momochi Zabuza is not a threat at all. However, Hitaki Kakashi also understood what Naraku meant. He looked at the silent forest and leaned against a big tree nearby. If that's the case, the remaining enemies of Wave Country won't be of much use in training. Shihouin Naraku chuckled and sat down next to him, not necessarily. Although those hooligans and low-level warriors are not strong, they are able to survive in this cruel world and most of them have some skills. Of course, this is premised on you not taking action. Hitaki Kakashi seemed to be thinking about something. He understood what Naraku meant. Wasn't it just to let Naruto and the other three find a way to deal with all the enemies themselves? The conversation between Shihouin Naraku and Hitaki Kakashi ends. The next day, Kakashi began to lead Naruto and others to protect the civilians of Wave Country and build a bridge. A ragtag group of attacks did occur, but their haphazard plans did not hinder the construction of the bridge at all. Sometimes Kakashi would even take a few people with him to clean out those thugs and low-level ninjas. But soon, Hitaki Kakashi was ambushed by a group of low-level ninjas due to his carelessness and was injured. It would take at least half a month for him to recover. The rest is up to you. This is your first time completing an important mission, you must not fail. Seeing Hitaki Kakashi lying half-dead on the bed, little Sakura was very worried and busy helping to take care of him. Only Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke looked skeptical. After all, they had seen the fight between Kakashi and Naraku with their own eyes, and how could they believe that a group of low-level ninjas and thugs could injure Kakashi like this? That's ridiculous. But Hitaki Kakashi just lay in bed and refused to get up. There was nothing Uchiha Sasuke could do but discuss among themselves how to better complete the task. Of course, Uchiha Sasuke vaguely guessed that this might be a training for the three of them. Chapter 78: The Completion of Naruto Bridge. The original work is also strange. Sunagakure brought a nuclear bomb to Konoha Village, and the button was in someone else's hands. Didn't they send anyone to watch it? Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, the construction of the bridge in Wave Country had come to an end. During this period, Uzumaki Naruto and his companions completed the mission very well. Although they did encounter several crises due to lack of experience, they found ways to resolve them all. By the end, Uzumaki Naruto and his team had completely defeated the thugs and low-level ninjas, and there were basically no obstacles to building the bridge, so the mission went so smoothly. During this process, the three of them grew rapidly visibly. You know, those low-level ninjas and gangsters are not strong enough, so they will use all kinds of despicable means. At the beginning, the three of them really suffered a small loss, but from then on, the enemy never succeeded again. Watching his students solve the problem, Hitaki Kakashi slowly got better and began to guide his students in their practice with the help of crutches. Treading water training. Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke had already completed the tree-stepping training, so they started treading water directly on the choppy sea. However, Haruno Sakura quickly caught up. She had a good talent for chakra control, so she completed the tree-walking training very quickly, and then began to practice treading water with Naruto and Sasuke. Because they were on a rough sea, which was much more difficult than treading water on a calm surface, the three of them did not succeed in their practice so quickly. What on earth is Kurigakure thinking? Hitaki Kakashi would occasionally glance at the three students who were practicing treading water in the sea but were beaten into a mess by the waves. This bridge that can connect the land of waves and the land of fire, but no one from the land of water showed up to stop it. I thought this bridge couldn't be built. Shihouin Naraku stood aside, looking at the sea and said, who knows? Maybe they don't care. Others may not understand the strategic significance of this bridge in wave country, but they know it all too well. The completion of this bridge means smooth communication between the land of fire and the land of waves, and also means the expansion of Konoha Village's sphere of influence. Yes, from the moment this bridge was built, it belonged to the sphere of influence of Konoha Village. Otherwise, why is it called Naruto Bridge? If Kurigakure wasn't in the midst of civil strife at this moment, the Ninja World War would have already broken out. Around this bridge, the war will not stop unless a large number of people in Konoha Village and Kurigakure are killed. It is even possible that the wave country will be completely destroyed because of this. Because if a war really breaks out between the Water Kingdom and the Fire Kingdom this time, the location will only be in the Wave Kingdom. The fierce confrontation between the two countries will completely destroy this place. No matter who wins in the end, there will be few civilians left in the land of waves. Of course, no one from the Water Country and Kurigakure showed up this time, and the Wave Country won the bet. From now on, the Fire Country will have better control over this place, which is a good thing for them. After all, compared to the turbulent Water Kingdom and the crazy Kurigakure, the Fire Kingdom and Konoha Village are still relatively clean and beautiful. The old man from the third generation thought that the bridge could not be built. His instructions were that if Kurigakure attacked us, we should take Naruto and retreat to Konoha Village. Shihouin Naraku finished speaking and waved his hand behind him. The Anbu ninja immediately sent the message back to Konoha Village. From now on, this bridge will be permanently inhabited by the Konoha Village ninja. After the information is transmitted back to Konoha Village, the third Hokage will definitely send people to garrison there and discuss specific matters with the Wave Country, and the Fire Country will also send people later. While the Water Country and Kurigakure haven't reacted yet, quickly settle the matter. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Soon, the bridge was completed as scheduled. During this period of time, Uzumaki Naruto has infected many civilians in the land of waves with his words and actions, and the name of the bridge has also become Naruto Bridge. When Hitaki Kakashi and his team were returning to the village with the joy of completing their mission, the garrison personnel sent by Konoha Village passed by them. After returning to the village, Shihouin Naraku completed the work that had accumulated during this period, and then added some responsibilities to Anbu and cancelled their vacation time. Anbu Base. Tenzo glanced at the silent Yamanaka-yu and asked quietly, "Did you tell the secret?" Yamanaka-yu rolled her eyes and said, "I haven't seen Naraku-sama recently." The Anbu ninjas present looked at each other and could only helplessly accept the days without vacation. "There's nothing we can do. He's our boss. What can they say?" Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes and read the information in his hand. What was Sunagakure thinking, sending one-tailed Jinchuriki to take the Chunin exam? Such a thing has never happened. Although holding the Chunin examination together with the allies is a display and show of one's own military power and national strength, there is no need to deploy one-tailed Jinchuriki. After all, it will be Sunagakure's turn in the next joint Chunin exam, and it would be safer to have one-tailed Jinchuriki appear then. There is no need to take the risk of having Jinchuriki appear in another country. Mitokado Homura also put down the intelligence file, thought for a moment and said, "Could it be that Sunagakure wants to provoke Konoha?" "No, it shouldn't be." Udatain Kaharu immediately retorted, "With Sunagakure's current strength, he is not qualified to challenge Konoha." Nara Shikaku also joined the discussion and said, "There is another possibility. The Wind Country's financial support to Sunagakure is getting less and less. From the transactions between Sunagakure and us in recent years, we can see that they are short of resources and it is difficult for them to continue. This time, Sunagakure made a desperate move and sent out one-tailed Jinchuriki. It might be that they wanted to show off their military strength in the Chunin exams, thereby overpowering Konoha Village and getting more missions. It would be best if they could regain the strong support of the Kingdom of Wind." Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of his pipe and nodded in agreement. He thought there was nothing wrong with Nara Shikaku's idea. Then he looked at the silent Shihouin Naraku, who was looking at the information thoughtfully and didn't speak for a long time. "Naraku, what do you think?" Entering the decision-making level of Konoha Village for the first time, Shihouin Naraku was not uncomfortable and spoke directly. Shikaku-senpai's analysis is very good, but we can't ignore the idea of Sunagaku's desperate behavior. They want to alleviate their own difficulties now. In addition to gaining strong support from the Wind Country, grabbing a share of Konoha is also the answer to the problem. My suggestion is to conduct necessary surveillance on the sand shinobi that appear in Konoha Village. It would be best if we could send more people. Sarutobi Hiruzen took several puffs, thinking about everyone's opinions in his mind. We can monitor them, but only one-tailed Jinchuriki at most. Forget about the others. Sunagaku is our ally after all, so we can't be too aggressive. Everything else is going according to the original plan. Yes. Shihouin Naraku turned and left. He had a lot of things to deal with. Sarutobi Hiruzen watched the others leave one by one, stood up and turned to look out the window at Konoha Village, feeling a little uneasy in his heart. But I can't explain where this uneasiness comes from. Maybe it's because of my age. Chapter 79. The Chunin exam begins. In the Kingdom of Wind, somewhere in a desert canyon. Puff. The sharp blade pierced through his body. Fourth Kage Ross's eyes widened, blood spurted out of the corner of his mouth, and he looked at the person in front of him in disbelief. Orochimaru, you. Before he finished speaking, Orochimaru sneered and drew out the Kusanagi sword, and fourth Kage Rossa fell to the ground with his eyes open. Around the canyon, the bodies of several Sunagaku Anbu ninjas were lying. Cough cough cough. Kagaya Kimimaro, a man with white hair and green eyes, covered his mouth, and the sharp, pale bone spurs on his upper body slowly retracted into his body. Kimimaro, is your condition getting worse again? Orochimaru put away the Kusanagi sword and turned to look at Kimimaro, who was covering his mouth. Adult Orochimaru. Kimimaro tried hard to suppress his cough and replied reluctantly, "The medicine I took this time was very effective. My body can still hold on. This body will definitely support the ambitions of Master Orochimaru." Yakushi Kabuto stood behind, the chakra in his hands gradually dissipating. He had an uncomfortable smile on his face, pushed his glasses up, and said nothing. "Ko, well done. You didn't waste the few years you spent studying under Naraku. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Naraku will feel about his long-lost teacher." He. Orochimaru was pleased with the result of the raid and laughed out loud. Yakushi Kabuto said on the side, "Perhaps Lord Naraku will kill Lord Orochimaru himself." Really? Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth with his long tongue, revealing an irrepressible sinister smile. "You've made me want to take action right now. It's really unexpected." At this moment, a gust of wind and sand blew by, making the people who were blown by it squint their eyes. The old style has not yet dissipated, but the new style has already begun. What a great wind! Orochimaru looked in the direction of Konoha Village. "Teacher Sarutobi, I'll be back soon." Time passed quickly, and the preparations for the Chunin exam were completely completed. Sarutobi Hiruzen, along with a group of high-ranking officials, summoned most of the Jōnin and announced the specific time and process of the Chunin examination. A group of Jōnin who served as instructors also began to recommend their students to participate. Of course, these Jōnin also knew that if the students' abilities were too weak, they would not recommend them at all. I, Hitaki Kakashi, recommend Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and Haruno Sakura from Team 7 to take the Chunin exam. In my name is Might Guy, I recommend Hyuga Neji, Rock Lee, and Tenten from Class 3 to take the Chunin exam. In the name of Yuhi Kurenai, I recommend 3 members of Class 8, Hyuga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino, to take the Chunin exam. In my name, Sarutobi Asuma, I recommend 3 people from Class 10, Nara Shikamaru, Akamichi Choji, and Yamanaka Ino, to take the Chunin exam. The 12 guardians of Konoha officially take the stage. Many Jōnin looked at the first few people who spoke with some surprise, thinking that they were a little hasty. After all, many of the students they recommended had just graduated this year, and it was a bit too early for them to take the Chunin exam now. In most cases, a Jōnin will recommend a student to take the Chunin exam after leading the team for at least a year. One reason is to cultivate feelings, and the other is to lay a solid foundation. There is no need to take the Chunin exam so soon, After all, you may not pass the exam. Except for a few geniuses, the Chunin in the entire Konoha village have to take the exam 3 to 4 times on average before they can pass and become Chunin. The Konoha's high-level advisors sitting at the head, Mitokado Homura, Udatain Kaharu, Nara Shikaku, Shihouin Naraku, and 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, ignored the Jōnin's noise and signaled for everyone to continue with the recommendation. In this last Chunin exam, the number of participants from Konoha village was 87. After the meeting, Shihouin Naraku just walked out of the venue and saw Iruka-sensei arguing with Kakashi. Naruto and the others have only just graduated, it wouldn't be appropriate for them to take the Chunin exams now. Iruka, you have to realize that Naruto is now my subordinate and I am their teacher. I think they are good enough to take the Chunin exam. Shihouin Naraku scratched his head. He seemed to have heard this conversation between Iruka and Kakashi somewhere before. He had an inexplicable sense of déjà vu. Iruka's worries were not unreasonable, but in his impression, Naruto was still that child who liked to make trouble, not a qualified ninja, so he was worried. In fact, after this period of training, Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and Haruno Sakura have all experienced different growth. Whether they can pass the Chunin exam is another matter, but they are certainly qualified to take it. As the Chunin examination approaches, Konohagakure begins to become more prosperous and bustling. Merchants, civilians, and ninjas, a large number of people poured into Konoha village, making it seem a little chaotic. Shihouin Naraku also started to get busy. There was not much to do in the medical department except arranging people from the medical emergency team to be on standby during the exam. Anbu has more tasks to do. Just being vigilant and monitoring the sudden increase in the number of people in Konoha village is troublesome enough. A total of 6 ninja villages, including Konoha village, participated in this Chunin exam. Of course, except for Konohagakure and Sunagakure, the others are small ninja villages and the number of participants is not large, mainly because they do not have enough resources to train more ninjas. Be alert. There are too many people coming and going in Konoha village during this period. The barrier team cannot let down their guard. Yes, Lord Naraku. Shihouin Naraku stood in a very secret building in Konoha village. In front of him, a huge object like a water ball was floating. This is the barrier system of Konoha village. Any intrusion of strange chakra without the permission of Konoha village will alarm the barriers surrounding Konoha village, and their whereabouts will be displayed on the huge water ball. The ninja on guard here will immediately notify the village leaders. The members of the barrier class are all ninjas who are good at perception. Shihouin Naraku inspected it and then left. This barrier is good, but not very useful. As a former Konoha high-ranking official, Orochimaru knew the seals to pass through the barrier without being detected, and Uchiha Itachi also knew it. Although Nagato didn't know, he was not afraid of being discovered and relied entirely on his strength to break into Konoha village alone. So this barrier can be said to be useful, but it can also be said to be useless. Unless Konoha village spends a huge amount of energy and money to rebuild a new barrier system, even Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd Hokage, cannot bear to spend that much. That's it. Now it's time to wait. Shihouin Naraku sat on the rooftop of a high-rise building, looking at the bustling Konoha village below. On the other side of Konoha village, Yakushi Kabuto and Kagaya Kimimaro, led by Orochimaru, were standing on a high mountain, looking towards Konoha village. What a peaceful and beautiful village. A sinister smile appeared on Orochimaru's pale face. At this moment, he seemed to see the ruins of the completely destroyed Konoha village filled with smoke. It's been so long that I almost forgot that I grew up here. Is this where Orochimaru-sama grew up? Kagaya Kimimaro stared at the scene of Konoha village, silent. Chapter 80 Training Ground No. 0. Do what you say, that's my way of ninja. I am the man who is going to be the Hokage. With Uzumaki Naruto's determined roar, the first Chunin exam ended. Even though he didn't write a single word, Naruto still managed to get away with it. The Jōnin who were paying attention to the exam were also infected by Uzumaki Naruto's passionate speech, and unknowingly got to know Nine Tails Jinchuriki better. The second Chunin exam was held in the Forest of Death. The examiner was Mitarashi Anko. After she briefly explained the rules, she gave the candidates the heaven and Earth scrolls respectively. To complete the second game, each team must gather all the Earth coiling axes and arrive at the designated location within the specified time. In this competition, candidates need to pay attention not only to the conflicts between ninja teams, but also to the various troubles in the Death Forest. Shihouin Naraku stood on a distant building, looking at a group of examinees who were signing a life and death agreement. He set his sights on a ninja from the Konoha village. That person is Orochimaru in disguise. After rubbing his fingers for a few times, Shihouin Naraku did not take any action but gradually disappeared. When his figure disappeared, Orochimaru, who was hiding in the dark, suddenly turned his head and looked at the place where Shihouin Naraku was just now. Just now, Shihouin Naraku did not hide his gaze at all, so Orochimaru noticed it immediately, but he did not look over until Naraku left. Found it. Then why wasn't it exposed? He. Orochimaru unconsciously licked the corner of his mouth, a strange and sinister smile on his face. Mitarashi Anko stood outside the guardrail that blocked the Death Forest, checked the time, and then ordered the blockade to be opened. I hope you can come out of the Death Forest alive. Mitarashi Anko had a wicked smile on her face. She seemed to enjoy bullying these genins, but she was completely unaware that there was a lion majesty hidden among these genins. The second game starts now. Clatter. The chains were opened and the candidates immediately rushed into the Forest of Death. At the same time, on the streets of a bustling city in the Land of Fire. Oh ha ha ha. A tall man with a forehead protector with the word, oil, on it, long white hair falling to his waist, and a red coat, staggered out of the pub with a lewd smile on his face. From his smile and the laughter and chatter in the pub behind him, it can be seen that the man is having a lot of fun. He is Jiraiya, one of the famous Sannin in the ninja world. See you next time. See you next time. Oh my, what a passionate girl. It's true that girls from the Fire Nation are the best. Jiraiya, who exuded the air of a playboy, swayed his body and wandered around the streets like a gangster. The smell of alcohol on him could be smelled from a long distance away. Hey, did you hear that the Chunin exams held in Konoha Village have already started? Should we go check it out? It's a pity I've been so busy lately, otherwise I'd love to go to Konoha Village to watch the game. You may not know this, but I heard that Sunagaku sent out a lot of powerful genin this time. I wonder if Konoha Village can suppress them. Bullshit. How can Sunagaku compare to our Konoha Village? What are you talking about? That's right. The third Hokage is the strongest Kage in history. With him, no ninja village can overpower Konoha Village. The vendors and tourists around were discussing enthusiastically about the Chunin exam held in Konoha Village, with envy in their eyes from time to time. After all, those were ninjas with powerful ninjutsu. People occasionally discuss which ninja village's ninja will be promoted to Chunin, and which ninja village will have the upper hand and advantage in the end, but this is the Land of Fire, so many people overwhelmingly support Konoha Village. After all, the stronger Konoha Village is, the more it can ensure the safety of the Fire Nation. Jiraiya walked on the road, and the drunkenness on his face dissipated a lot. Yes, another Chunin exam. It's been a long time since I came out. Should I go back for a while? Especially this time, Sunagaku seemed to be planning something, even bringing out one-tailed Jinchuriki. Jiraiya's ability to gather intelligence is excellent, so he knew that among the genin sent by Sunagaku this time, there was one-tailed Jinchuriki. Of course, the reason why we knew it so quickly was because Sunagaku took the initiative to release the news through some channels. When Jiraiya was thinking about whether he should go back to Konoha Village, a fragrant breeze blew by. Jiraiya couldn't help but shrug his nose, and then a crazy smile appeared on his face. Hey. Looking at the beautiful woman with long black hair walking in front of him, Jiraiya's eyes lit up and he followed her like a pervert. Are you interested in having a drink? Konoha Village, the completely abandoned training ground number 0. Shihouin Naraku stood silently in the training ground, glanced around, and then blended into the environment and disappeared. Training ground number 0 has been sealed off by Konoha Village for many years. From the outside, there seems to be nothing wrong with it, but Naraku learned from Yamanaka Yu that this was once the base of Shimura Danzo. All this time, he had no idea what Shimura Danzo was hiding here. So this time, Shihouin Naraku decided to find out what Shimura Danzo was doing at training ground number 0. Since entering the number 0 training ground, Shihouin Naraku has discovered many ninjas who are secretly vigilant along the way. It is obvious that they were all arranged by Shimura Danzo. However, Shihouin Naraku was very fast and light, and he found the base in the dark without alerting anyone. In fact, he didn't have to spend much effort, because the location of the base was where the most ninjas were lying in ambush. Observation Hokage's ability was very convenient, and it easily helped Shihouin Naraku find all the ambushes. Now that he knew the specific location of the guards, Shihouin Naraku entered the base very easily. Why are there so many people? As soon as Shihouin Naraku entered the base, he took a few steps and saw a large research room where several researchers were busy. There are a lot of research materials, culture vessels, experimental equipment and so on placed around, which can be said to be everything you need. So this is where Danzo studied wood style. Shihouin Naraku understood that with Shimura Danzo's suspicious character, how could he trust Orochimaru, and of course he would secretly study wood style and Sharingan simultaneously. I was wondering why Bakung Ching hadn't been seen for a while. Turns out he's here. As a subordinate of Shimura Danzo, Yashirao was previously assigned to the medical department, hoping to take the opportunity to seize power and collect himself, but because of the means that Naraku had prepared long ago, he returned empty-handed. In addition, later on, Sarutobi Hiruzen secretly suppressed Shimura Danzo, and Naraku told the Hokage about the battle with Obito and Zetsu. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought that another wood-style ninja had appeared under Danzo's command, so he put the blame on Danzo. Without support, Yashirao naturally couldn't achieve any results and soon disappeared. Now Shihouin Naraku knows that Yashirao actually came to this base to study wood style. Interesting, really interesting, Shihouin Naraku muttered to himself, his eyes running over the several pairs of Sharingan preserved in lab vessels. I wonder how many Sharingan Danzo grabbed back then. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audio Wave to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.